stream del futuro del juego, de lo que viene para el juego. Lo voy a poder y lo vamos a ver juntos. Lo vamos a ver juntos el futuro del juego. Espero que sea un buen futuro.
Today's index contains our Season 5 recap, Season 6 features and improvements, deep dive into Cobalt Protocol, and future season features. We will also have a short Q&A section after too, so please look forward to all of that. Now let's start off with our Season 5 recap.
A ver, ¿qué dicen de qué fue
One of the
Season
biggest
5?
changes we had for Season 5 were the team mode changes and the auto-revive system. Although it has been vastly popular in Korea, I have seen that it does have mixed opinions in other regions. We're keeping an eye on it, and we're seeing if there are other ways to improve the system. There's also already some prepared changes that I'll go over today in just a few.
Okay.
We also had the increase in materials patch for Lumia Island. It made farming much more forgiving and also easier to get the materials you need.
Eso está bien.
There's still the issue of being unable to secure materials in areas where a large amount of the lobby has dropped at the start of the game.
Eso no puede ser
mostly
nada.
Cemetery for today, for this current meta. But that's going to be also
no puedes estar buscando que todo sea perfecto para todo. De que es que todo el mundo tiene que sacar sus ítems. No, güey. No todo el mundo puede sacar sus ítems porque es un juego competitivo. O sea, si todo el mundo tiene los ítems, entonces quita toda la parte de farmear ítems. ¿Me explico? No puedes estar esperando que todo el mundo tenga su estrellita. Porque entonces, ¿para qué estás repartiendo estrellitas? Es lo mismo. Ese es un tema que tienen que entender. No puede todo el mundo siempre tener los ítems. No se puede.
Addressed with one of the features of the upcoming Season 6.
Exactamente, es un sinsentido la mecánica.
Active items were also added in Season 5.
Esos fueron
Unfortunately,
gigante.
we do believe that this was a lackluster change than what we have hoped for. However, because it's only been used by a handful and it's mostly locked behind special materials in team modes. With the upcoming changes to Season 6, getting your hand on special materials will become much more easier than before. And we hope that this could also improve this feature as well.
Entonces no les pongas special materials.
New active effects are also on the way, so keep an eye on that as well.
Oh, más activos, güey. Qué
An
nervios,
unexpected,
güey, eso,
impactful change was Pork Chop, creating memorable moments and hilarious situations and cool combos as well. Okay, now for a more serious note, the combat ping removal was also a big change. Also, although we still chant our ABCs when someone third parties in a tournament, if the combat ping was still here, it would have been a much more worse situation than today. Changes to improve this are also planned and will be discussed later on.
Hola, Antonio, ¿cómo estás?
About ways on how are we gonna counteract or maybe alleviate third partying.
No se puede. O sea, pueden seguir dando herramientas, pero es muy difícil.
Was a good change in helping players not need to drop their whole inventory to craft their same plans.
Cambio.
However, we do agree that the UI is still confusing for a lot of our players and sometimes creates situations where the wrong thing is crafted. We're considering some improvements for this as well, and we hope that it may solve the confusion.
No sé si a ustedes les ha pasado,
and no,
pero
it's
a mí
not
no me ha pasado
pre-recorded. I'm doing this live. Okay, kiting improvements were also added recently, and I can say that kiting was improved significantly, but there were also a lot of issues that came with it. Burnus was a clear example in that he buffered when attacking, and 11's double attack is also on the list of awkwardness. We are keeping an eye on this, and we are addressing some, such as the change to Burnus a few patches ago, and we'll continue to monitor this and see how we can improve this as well.
Okay. Eso está bien que lo arreglen.
As I said before, automatic revival in team modes were a big change that happened in Season 5. We've gotten a lot of feedback after the team mode changes. The most requested change was the dying part after unlucky revives. Usually you would revive, someone would be next to you, you would die, and although that doesn't happen really often, when it does happen, it feels really, really bad. When hyperlooping, taking a risk is understandable since that decision is making a choice. It's a quick but unstable teleport that you choose instead of walking. However,
Sí.
reviving, on the other hand, can't be chosen and is an action that must be performed. So couple this with only reviving with happier HP and SP, it creates a kind of an unfair scenario. So what we're currently thinking
Pero es
is
que
to
te
provide a
moriste.
small
Tienes que
movement
tener un
buff, just like at
castigo.
the start of the game, so
Si
that
te
it's
matan, tiene
easier
que
to
haber un
escape
castigo. No puedes
unfortunate
revivir con
situations.
100% de la vida y 100% del
In
mana.
long-term goals, prioritizing locations near your allies is also something that we're considering. If you guys keep spamming, I'm gonna get mad. Talk about the dev stream. Okay.
Creo que se
Now
reportó
we'll
en su chat.
also go to restricted areas, most definitely temporary safe areas. Restricted areas are also something that we'd be keeping an eye on. Before team modes would usually end much more quicker without the
Para
revives.
mí lo que
But
haría
ever
sería que
since the
reyeras al
update,
lado de
there
un
have been
aliado en
more and
punto.
more teams reaching the final area due to the auto-revive system. To address this, the temporary restricted area feature will also be making it into team modes. This was originally going to be
Wow.
on the start of preseason, but due to a slight delay, it will be added with the start of season 6.
Ok.
Although we would like some
Digo,
testing in
realmente
preseason,
de
the
Team
gimmick
Modes
was
no, a
already
nosotros no nos
kind of
afecta
okay
mucho.
in solos,
Por lo menos
and
sacaron el
it's
bug de
becoming
clonar
more and
Pokémones
more
de Eterna.
it's
Ah,
becoming
caray.
more and more needed in the team modes right now. So yeah, it's going to be added in season 6. Some improvements to the temporary area will also be shown later this stream, so keep an eye on that.
Ok.
An extra change is the avenue restricted area being larger than before, which is pretty cool.
Ok.
Yeah. Okay, this can somehow be a controversial thing. With team modes gaining traction, character roles are becoming much more important. However, most of the characters that are present now were designed for solos, which means that they mostly can do damage, they have mobility, while also being semi-tanky. So basically, they're all-rounders. With team modes rising and with also the addition of Cobalt Protocol, there's a lot of buzz surrounding characters with special roles. As you can see on the screen, there's assassins,
Y ahí viene el
mages,
problema.
tank supports. Yeah.
Ahí viene una de las cosas que más me preocupan a mí. Me preocupa mucho, 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 mucho.
Now we reach the question.
¿Cómo van a estar balanceando Cobalto? ¿Cómo van a balancear solos? ¿Cómo van a balancear dúos? ¿Cómo van a balancear squads? Porque no
So
puedes
what
tener.
mode are you going to focus on?
No puedes tener lo mismo. El mismo balance. No se puede. No puedes tener. Ya cuando veas la parte del nerfeo y ajustes, te vas a cagar de la risa, Dios mío, güey.
The answer to that is that we'll try and take care of all three. The modes, however, started to have distinct characteristics from each other. It may be surprising to our English-speaking communities, but Squads
Hey, Turax,
is currently our most
le paso
played
para darle las
mode.
gracias aquí. Turax, muchísimas gracias por el reizazo. Bienvenido. Bienvenido, estás escribiendo el stream de Turax. Me presento, mi nombre es Tere. Yo juego una variedad de juegos, incluyendo MOBAs y MMOs. Bienvenidísimo, estamos reaccionando a el futuro de uno de los MOBAs que estoy jugando, que se llama Eternal Return. Está gratis en Steam, lo pueden descargar. Y pues espero que se la pasen bien. Disculpen porque es un tema un poquito más cerrado. Pero muchísimas gracias por el rechazo. ¿Cómo estuvo tu stream el día de hoy? Bienvenido.
When it reaches the weekends, normal squads reaches a very big amount of our games. The casual fun that it just provides, it's just too good when you're playing with other friends. And I believe that's the main point of the mode. Duos also showed a lot of success in the competitive scene. Our ERC and ERL are clear examples of that. Usually squads have a lot of downtime in tourneys because fights would happen less because there's less teams across the board. And solos would usually bring the most viewers.
Nice.
But the balance
semana.
and matchup issues were the most impactful in modes when we do solo tournaments. Duos is most likely the modes that's the sweet spot between the two, and we think that duos may be the way to go when it comes to our competitive scene.
Eso ya lo habían dicho.
All things considered, though, solos is still the most played mode in terms of ranked, and it's still the baseline of which decides your skill level in game.
Porque
this is the current situation, but it could change as
va a seguir siendo siempre el modo más jugado en rank porque no dependes. La cosa más distintiva entre Eternal Return y los demás MOBAs es que puedes jugar solo. O sea, aquí no vas a estarte peleando con absolutamente nadie por cómo te fue, por qué looteaste, qué no looteaste, qué buildeaste, qué no buildeaste, qué comida, qué nada. Y ese es su punto de venta más importante. Es lo que tienen que entender. Si la gente lo juega más en rank, es porque es la gran diferencia entre LoL, es la gran diferencia entre Dota, es la gran diferencia entre Heroes of the Storm, vamos a decir. O sea, tienen que entender que neta solo es muy, muy importante. Si lo quieren, si se les hace que solo es muy complicado o muy caótico para streamearlo como su juego competitivo de esports, lo entiendo. Pero tienen que ser el que le tienen que dar más amor
Time
para
go
que la
on.
comunidad
There's not really a
continúe,
main mode, and we're always flexible
para que la comunidad continúe creciendo, porque si no va a seguir haciéndose para abajo.
on choosing which mode we want to focus on. And for now, we're going to focus on all three. Okay, so now I'm going to show you our rundown on Season 6 about how we're going to do our modes. Solo mode will continue to be the point of balance in Season 6, and
Okay.
other modes will be using the adjustments like before.
No,
However,
dúo
adjustments do have their limits, and team modes do
es más que nada solo, es para rankear, para no estarte estresando, para jugar tú solo, para demostrar tu skill. Y dúo es para verlo. O sea, que tú veas un torneo, creo que es más... se disfruta más ver un torneo de dúos que un torneo de solos por lo caótico del juego. Pero sí es importante que no se les olvide que una cosa es tu rama de esports o lo que quieres vender a que los demás vean, y otra cosa es tu rama de lo que tus jugadores quieren jugar.
need characters that needs to meet specific roles. For character diversity and positions, they may be new characters coming out in the near
¿Existen ranks en
future
squads de
that could
dúos?
fit
Eso no existe en
specific
SA,
roles
eso no
such
existe
as
en NA
tanks
tampoco.
or supports. This does not mean that we're dropping solo mode characters as a whole, but it just means that there may be characters that can be a bit harder to use in solos. Priya was
Eso
the
ya
most
existe.
recent example.
Eso ya existe. Priya y Johan son imposibles de usar
ERL
solos.
will continue to be held with duo modes, but this does not mean the solos and squad tourneys are off the table. We recently are having the Season Cup, which was our first tourney in ages, and we'll see how we can expand on that further as we move into Season 6. We can try out duos, maybe if you're really into it, we can try squads, or maybe we can always go with solos as well.
Ajá.
Okay, it's time. It's time, everyone.
A ver,
Take a deep breath. We're talking about balance.
A ver.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
Vámonos.
When it comes to balance, the most asked question is, what does Nimble Neuron balance upon?
Ok.
The answer is that stats are the most objective criteria when it comes to balance.
Es correcto.
But we're always thinking about what we can match, how we can match balancing with stats with the actual balance that players feel. The first thing we look
se
for
puede.
balance is the top 1,000 stats.
Ok.
Pick rate is especially important. In solo, if a character with a specific weapon type reaches 5.5% pick rate, which is about 1 in 18, that means it averages at least one pick per game.
Sí,
That means it's
correcto.
almost certainly going to get nerfed. If the pick rate is around 4%, we usually look at other stats too, such as win rate and average kills. Usually a win rate of 10
No puedes balancear alrededor de pick rate. No puedes balancear alrededor de pick rate. Porque que un personaje sea popular no quiere decir que esté OP. Esa es una de las cosas que tienen que entender. La popularidad de un personaje no tiene nada que ver con qué tan fuerte puede llegar a ser. Obviamente hay una correlación, pero no es una relación que esté en piedra. No quiere decir, tiene mucho pick rate, no mames, vamos a nerfearlo porque el pick rate está bien alto. ¿Qué pasa si tiene un pick rate super alto y un win rate super bajo?
10% or higher, or an average kill rate of 1.3 or higher, is considered to get a nerf. If the pick rate is around 2%, we use a stricter criteria of 12% win rate and a 1.5 average kill. If it's around 1%, we usually do not nerf the character unless they have extreme stats. Characters with
Exactamente.
lower than 1% are almost not considered for nerfs. I know this is kind of a info dump, but please understand. Okay,
Por
but
eso
however,
es muy importante entonces, si quieres llegar alto en rank, aparte de tener tu main, es conocer los sleeper OPs. Por eso Zaire de repente se fue de que nadie se dio cuenta hasta que empezó a dominar Corea. y dijeron, güey, qué pedo, Zaire está bastante fuerte y lo empezaron a nerfear.
All of these stats are not, there's a catch. These are all based up stats that are gathered for at least 7 days or more. The 3-day stats usually do not have enough data and may provide us with incorrect stats. Currently, out of all the stat and data sites, the site that starts with an A usually provides the most accurate information for our patches.
Real, Lux.
For our hotfixes, we use a much more stricter criteria since we do not immediately have the data available for us. Even if a character is not that high in the top 1,000 stats, they may be nerfed if their stats in gold or lower are particularly high. If a character has an extreme pick rate, high pick rate, or average kill rate in this tiers, it may affect the game in a big way and could be scheduled for nerfs. Team modes are also adjusted with the same idea. The stats we also consider here is the pick rate. But since team modes have team comps and other variables, we take these into consideration
me estresa un montón que el nerf, que el criterio principal de nerfear un personaje
Usually we try to balance things out with the mode adjustments, but can perform nerfs if the situation is deemed impossible to solve through just mode adjustments. That's what happens.
Bienvenido.
Okay, we talked a lot about nerfs. Now let's talk about buffs. Buffs are actually much more harder than nerfs in general.
¿No va a ser el pick rate aquí o qué?
It's bad for the character itself. So they may need buffs or anything. But when a character is too strong, it can maybe negatively affect the game as a whole. So for buffs, we check 6 different stats.
Okay.
This will be the top 1,000 stats for all 3 modes. And also the top 3 the stats for gold or lower for all 3 modes as well. These are the 6 stats that we check for buffs.
Okay.
These are the usual stats that we use for balancing, but there are also other exceptions as well. Immortal stats that are sometimes peculiarly different from other stats. And we sometimes touch on that when there's a long ongoing problem in those stats as well. Average placements and objective control stats are also stuff that we look out for. For duos, the competitive scene is also something that we keep a close eye on. Characters with multiple weapons, like Jackie, are continuously being checked along with other weapon types that are used by a lot of different characters.
Zaire es uno de los personajes de últimamente que se puede entender más el punto cómo está equivocado. Zaire por mucho tiempo estuvo muy OP, muy OP, y como la gente no lo jugaba, no lo nerfeaban. Pero empezó a dominar Corea, se dieron cuenta de que, cabrón, si está dominando Corea, no mames, hay que nerfearlo. Pero estuvo Sleeper OP por un montón de tiempo. Y por eso tenías un Zaire que era el que disfrutaba de jugar Zaire. ¿Qué onda, chef? Bienvenido. Era un Zaire que era el que disfrutaba jugar Zaire en el top de Corea, en el top de NA. Ese es el tema. No puedes usar pick rate como una idea para nerfear o para
bufear. I think we talked about what stats do we usually consider
como principal
for buffs and nerfs,
criterio.
And it's mostly based on stats. But there's now the question of how we actually buff the characters that are selected. Do we bump their ratios? Do we bump their CC, their damage, their durability? What do we do? When deciding these details, we ultimately do need to take the vision of the original design of the character, what we originally wanted the character to do.
Hola, Zane, ¿cómo estás?
Into consideration.
Okay.
This vision can be different from what our players are thinking. They may think, why are we encouraging AA playstyle when it should have been AMP? Why cut only damage when the issue is CC? When we have a problem or issue of a character, there are times where we directly address the issue or improve or adjust other stuff around it to make it better. Players usually prefer the direct style. However, cutting on this stuff may result in taking away the character's individuality from these characters as well. Balance could become better, but this could result in bland or boring gameplay. You basically can have the same character for all the different, you can have the same play style or power for every character, which is kind of not what we want at the moment. When we
Eso que está diciendo ahorita, el problema no es el personaje. Y lo tienen que entender. La única manera de que los personajes tengan el mismo playstyle, a pesar de que tengan diferentes kits, es que los ítems estén muy OP. ¿A qué me refiero con esto? ¿Por qué los usuarios de Guante estaban partiéndote la madre? Porque existía la babosada del Flame Barrier, esa cosa, no me acuerdo cómo se llama ahorita. ¿Por qué los usuarios de espada te estaban partiendo la madre a todos? Porque existía el Smolder. Y estaban nerfeando y nerfeando y nerfeando los personajes en vez de nerfear el ítem. Si el problema es que estás teniendo una jugabilidad monótona con todos los usuarios de espada que se están yendo en el mismo pinche build, tanque con Smolder y espada, con los de Guante, tanque, Smolder y Guante, no puedes pensar que el problema no son tus ítems. O sea, no es vamos a balancear al personaje, hay que balancear los ítems.
When we change or adjust or improve other stuff, the extreme stats will calm down, but our players could feel
Pero lo
that the
entendieron
main
6
problem is
meses
still
después.
prevalent. So that's why they mostly prefer the direct style. We believe that this is a dilemma in maybe any game that has PvP. There is no wrong answer. It both has its highs and lows. But we understand that it may sometimes not match what the characters are thinking. Get out of my chat, Aesop. Okay, now let's move on. Stats are very helpful in setting us which characters to touch on. However, the amount we decide to buff and nerf is a much, much harder problem. And the point of feedback that we receive when our patches come out. The most feedback that we get is that our buffs or nerfs are either too much or too little. We do keep a close eye on the community since the players are definitely the most knowledgeable about our game. When something is brought up by the community...
Opinión no popular. En nerfs y en buffs no puedes escuchar a la comunidad. No puede decir su punto es o nerfeamos muy poquito o nerfeamos mucho. No se puede. Estar escuchando constantemente a la comunidad en buffs y en nerfs va a resultar en que nunca tomes la decisión correcta. Porque todo el mundo se va a quejar cuando le nerfeen a su main. Ese es el problema. Tienes que ser objetivo con las estadísticas. Pero si tu estadística número 1 es el pick rate, están mal. Punto. El pick rate no puede ser tu primera estadística. Hay cosas mucho más importantes como el average placement. ¿En qué lugar queda si va a sumar o va a restar MMR? Esos son stats mucho más importantes que estar buscando el pinche pick rate. Y no pueden estar escuchando a la comunidad en nerfs y en buffs. No pueden. Tienen que tener el template y tener su criterio.
In this case, we carefully observe the stats regarding the issue. Whether it be wrong or right, issues provided by the community are stats we tend to focus on. For example, there was a patch this season regarding Adela, in which we nerfed the rapier weapon skill. In this patch, there were a lot of feedback that Adela needs more nerfs. In the patch after that, there were also a lot of feedback about Hyunu dodging nerfs.
Jet, muchísimas gracias por el reizazo. Bienvenidos a escribiendo el stream de Jet. Me presento, mi nombre es Cere y juego en MOBAs en su mayoría y MMOs. Estamos revisando aquí el futuro de Eternal Return. Entonces pásenle, diviértanse y bienvenidos.
In this case, both characters were under surveillance and we checked their stats every 30 minutes. Adela's stats returned to normal after the patch and was concluded without any additional nerfs.
Espero que haya sido
In Hyunwoo's case, data regarding him was not that good, but suddenly spiked as soon as he gained access to Windrunner. This led to a nerf to Windrunner while actually buffing Hyunu. There are also more recent examples and more spicy ones, the most recent one being Felix. When we were nerfing Felix's stats were really, really good when we nerfed him, and there were a lot of feedback that Felix needed more nerfs than what he got. To tell the truth, Felix's shared cooldowns are programmed as a separate system, so there were some time constraints where we failed to touch on before the patch. There's actually a lot of situations like this in which we want to do a particular change, but we can't do
no puedes escuchar la comunidad tanto.
We're going to talk about this more in a few. The conclusion we reached was the movement speed nerf, which not only damages Felix's combat power, but also his growth during the early stages because he moves much more slower. After the patch, the main talking points were Felix and Laura, and both were on close watch. The stats at first were not good. Felix's stats in lower tiers were returning to normal, and his win rate at midnight was around 3% after the patch, with a average kill rate. And that's when we did it, boys. Pop the champagne. Felix is dead. We did it. Our patches are good. And after that, while checking other things, Felix's stats started to spike around 2 a.m., reaching the hotfix line by noon.
Oh, eso no funcionó.
Which resulted in the emergency hotfix.
What?
And that's where we made the mistake. Laura, on the other hand, still had stats at normal levels around noon, so she was untouched. However, these are examples that we are still keeping close eye on.
A ver si un mod anda por ahí para que tire
we are always trying to look if we made mistakes or not. So please voice your opinion if you think something we did is wrong, and we'll always try and listen. Also,
Es que no
I'll
pueden.
talk about augments a bit too. So there is a lot of speculation around augments as well,
¿Cuándo los van a
mostly
quitar?
regarding Diamond Shard and healing factor. This may not be the answer you want, but mostly when an augment is strong, it's mostly because of the characters that's using it currently.
Claro, por supuesto.
So what we try and do is address the characters instead of the augments for now. But we do think that this is an issue caused by the lack of augments that we currently have. So we'll try and include more augments in the future so that we can provide more ways for other characters to touch on these. So,
No más, no metan
we'll
más,
keep a
por
close eye on these,
favor,
and
balanceen
please
lo
give
que
us your feedback
tienen.
on this as
Dejen de meter más augments, por favor.
Based on this, there's a lot of variables, and the community was right about Felix. And, based on this, there's a lot of variables regarding balance. The community was right about Felix, the devs were right about Adela. And there's also special cases like Hyunu that needed deeper digging. We'll continue to look carefully at community feedback, so please voice your opinions. However, besides all of these patches, there was one particular patch that we failed on, which was very recent. Here it is.
Qué bueno que no lo jugué, güey,
The
creo.
patch was the 0.56 patch, which included spicy changes.
Güey, cuando leí, no lo jugué ese parche. Cuando leí que iban a quitar el reload automático, dije, Dios mío, ¿qué chingados están pensando? Cuando lo leí, ese patch no lo jugué. Neta, dije, ¿qué chingados están pensando, güey? De verdad. Laca, bienvenido, ¿cómo estás? Estamos revisando, Ok, el tema era este. ¿Quieres quitar el reload porque es muy molesto? Quita las balas. Quita las municiones de la pistola. No le quites al jugador la expresión de habilidad. Si tú quitas las balas, resuelves el problema que quieres resolver. Se pone el juego un poco más aburrido, pero arreglas el problema que tú quieres resolver, que es que los nuevos jugadores batallan mucho para recargar. Pero si tú quitas la opción de recargar, lo único que estás haciendo es quitándole al jugador la posibilidad de seguir autoatacando. O sea, no tiene sentido.
Such as reload changes, Kathy changes, and Chloe changes. It really pains us to say, but when we saw the patch notes, we were also panicking as well because we were saying, why is this in the patch? And like, I don't know what's happening. I guess you can say that it was a certified nimble moron moment. The reason that this happens stems from our current working system and mainly branches. And I'll go through that. This is a rundown of our branches from early April.
Esto no te lo tienen que explicar.
If you look at all of these branches, these are all of the branches that we're currently working on.
Esto no te lo
Although it
tienen que
varies at
explicar.
time, Nimble Neuron as a whole works on about 15 branches. It doesn't mean that one person watches all 15 branches, but it means that people in different teams work on different versions. To implement big
Eso no te lo
features
tienen que
that require over
explicar.
6 months, we have to plan them first. We got to write plans,
Estoy
do
de acuerdo.
modeling, prepare voices. A lot of stuff happens during this time. This usually happens in this part, when with the individual developments part. We need to plan it, we got to get the stuff ready, and do it. And after that's mostly prepared, we got our components, we begin to piece them together. For example, when we're releasing Adina, we combine animations, effects, and all these other stuff to slowly make up
No
the
sé,
character.
no tengo ni idea,
This is our
pero
last
eso no te
chance
lo
if
deberían
you
estar
want to
explicando.
change anything major, since it would require a lot of coding. So this is the part where we piece everything
No sé.
together. So it's 0.60, so that's still like a month away.
Pero eso no va a
Not change
terminar.
like 0.63.
Explicar tu workflow no va a hacer que la gente
when we
se
reach the
deje de
main
quejar.
focus branches, we begin to code all of the components.
Hay una razón por
to
la cual
ultimately
las
reach the
compañías de
final
videojuegos
product.
no revelan todo
Because of the
siempre.
interactions with our
Porque
thousands
la
of features
comunidad puede
and
ser
the
muy
50
tóxica.
character-
Y
over
no
50
entiendo
character
para qué me
roster,
están diciendo
we have
cómo
a
trabajan.
large amount
Aparte,
of bugs
a ti
doing
como
this part.
consumidor al final
And
no te importa
we
cómo
have to do
trabaje alguien. Lo que te
QA, we
importa
have
es
to
que
fix
te
bugs,
entreguen un producto de
we
calidad.
prepare all of that stuff. So the branches that are handled here are usually really busy. And after the patch reaches live, the branches are now used to catch bugs that made it to the public, and we use that to fix them. Okay, so what this means is that basically while we're writing the 0.56 patch notes, we're also planning characters that will be released at the end of the year, while also combining future characters such as este, which will be released way later, like almost at the end of the season. It kind of seems really scuffed, but this is actually a pretty fairly common practice in gaming. Some
No
project
tienes que explicar
managers
eso,
dedicate their
güey.
whole time in organizing all of these stuff. And since Eternal Return is a game that's in a genre with very many characters and also require many updates, there could be more branches than other games too. Okay, this is another example of our current working system. Last time we said we would be slowing down on characters to focus more on other features, but we're still not doing that yet. And this may confuse a lot of our players because it feels like we're not keeping up our point of the bargain. But this
Yo creo que sí. El tema, lo que están diciendo de Johan y eso, el problema es este. El problema es que tú mismo estás diciendo que la mayoría de tu player base prefiere jugar solo, pero tú quieres concentrarte en dúo y en squad también para la parte de esports. No puedes tener las dos cosas. Tú no puedes estar sacando monos que van a ser support para dúo y para squads y esperar que en solo funcionen bien. Al menos de que sean totalmente... de que estén tuneados para cada modo de juego. Literalmente estén tuneados específicamente para cada
is
modo de
because
juego.
we're still setting up our
No
schedule
nada
to make
más
this happen.
buffs y nerfs
And it seems like
porcentuales.
the boat is finally reaching to arrive at this point. As said earlier, building a character takes a really long time. It takes animations and sounds and all that. We actually have a picture here. And yeah, we have to do planning, we get the concept art, we do the modeling and voice.
Llegamos a
animation,
80
coding,
en
QA, all of these
diciembre,
things take about 7 to 8
pero
months.
entre que cambié de
And yeah, this is a
juego
really
y todo
lot of stuff that we
eso...
need to take care of.
Ha
And
estado
basically, when we
complicado.
announced that we were pushing characters, we were mostly in the middle of already preparing characters that would be released at the end of season 5. So this is also a reason of our bad balancing for new characters that was recently brought up. Because we touch a lot of these branches, our schedule can go from let's say in one day, we can play test Felix in the morning, then we go to Elena, we go to Priya, then back to Felix. And because of duty shifting in multiple versions, when the bug is found mid QA,
De
and
verdad,
fixed,
no tienen por qué estar
the character
explicando
may,
tanto.
like, feel completely different and balanced than what it was yesterday, or maybe even from an earlier playtest that just happened the same day. The bugs
¡Hey,
in
Meg!
live
Muchísimas gracias por el
I
raid.
know,
Bienvenida, bienvenidas
there's-
todos que vienen del
there's
stream de
quite
Meg.
some
Bueno, hola, me presento, mi nombre es Cere, soy parte de OTK también, igual que Meg, y yo juego más que nada MOBAs, MMOs y a veces un poquito de Trading Card Game. Bienvenidos todos y pues pásenla bien. Estamos viendo nada más el futuro de uno de los juegos principales que yo juego, que se llama Eternal Return. Está gratis en Steam, lo pueden probar por si gustan y pues bienvenidos.
spicy ones. The bugs are pretty bad, but the
Meg
things that happen in
consiguió a Yaka.
playtesting is
¡Felicidades!
much worse.
Bienvenida.
And we do have to fix all of those. There was one time where a skill would burn for your health, there was one time a skill would burn for 100% of your health, so when it touches you, it instantly kills you, and it was really funny. But like changing something like that would mean that we would have to balance that skill.
Heavenly
entirely.
Sunset, muchísimas gracias
So
por el
it's
follow.
just a really hard and frustrating process.
Bienvenido.
However, we have slowed down, and as you can see in our roadmap too, we're finally slowing down on characters. So we believe that we can finally take the time to focus on other stuff and slow down on characters for now. Okay. With improvements, it's also the kind of same thing. There's improvements that we can change with the width on our coding sheet.
Muchísimas gracias, de verdad. Qué amable eres, pero
The most
realmente
recent
mucho.
change and Cathy
Me
ground
pongo
removal
nervioso.
for example that took a lot of
Muchísimas
time.
gracias, de verdad.
Changes like this usually pop up since the characters may need a
De verdad, muchísimas gracias. Gracias a personas como tú es que puedo continuar en este sueño. De verdad, muchísimas gracias. Gracias, Gafarión. Aquí estamos y no nos rajamos. Aquí vamos a seguir hasta que se cumpla el sueño de convertirme en un streamer exitoso y que come 3 veces al día. De verdad, muchísimas gracias.
balance adjustment
Super
in the
mega
first place,
rifado.
or may require some adjustments. This is one of the things that a lot of our internal devs who are actually pretty good at the game are really stressed out about. We can request an improvement or change, and it could turn out to take a long time for it to reach live.
Sí, de verdad, muchas
There's
gracias.
always feedback that we get saying that we don't even know what the problem is, and then doesn't know what the problem is. But sometimes we do know what it is, but it just takes a long time for us to do it.
Muchísimas gracias.
Chloe and Kathy are also related cases. In the case of
Muchísimas gracias,
Kathy,
de verdad.
Kathy's ground was really a powerful tool when she first had it. It gave a lot of power for her as an assassin, creating hard combos for enemies to react to. Kathy at the time was quite the menace, and this change would have helped her decrease her high stats. If this change would have reached it live, it should have been at that time.
No sé por qué no está marcando,
when she
pero
was
ya deben de
OP.
ser más de 30.
However, time passed and a lot changed for Kathy.
Y eso que
definitely
estoy
should have
usando la
checked this
herramienta
beforehand,
oficial
or at least
de...
have made some compensation if we were
Ah,
going
no,
to
no es cierto,
make this
faltan dos, ¿verdad?
change.
Sí, cierto.
And we failed to do that, and it's on us. Okay, now we're back to
Por
the
favor,
development
deja de
branches.
explicarme
0.56
cómo
patch
funciona
was
tu
a really hard
trabajo
time for us. We have the
interno.
kiting changes, which was another big project for us internally, and we were also preparing the
uno de
other new
los-
features
es
for
uno de
season 6
los,
as well. We had the
gemes.
season update, which I will be showing to you after a few minutes. There was also the ER Pass, which has tons of new content, along with also very
No, ASAP ya no está en
payment-related issues. And the
ASAP ya no está, ya se
Cobalt
fue.
protocol has also reached our main focus versions. So we'll have to code that, QA that, and get it ready for you all as well. So to sum it up, we were really busy
Sí,
these last two
muchísimas gracias por
patches,
ese
but we messed
subsazo.
up,
3 veces
and these are all
gracias, de verdad,
excuses,
muchísimas
and
gracias.
we'll do better next time. We're really sorry, and we'll try and improve.
Ay, no,
better
güey,
update
no, por
coupon
favor,
right
no.
now.
Que se dejen de disculpar, güey, por favor.
Okay.
Me está molestando un chorro su actitud.
Now that we showed you why it happened, and now we'll try and explain how we'll improve. The changes to the character process is going to help us with our schedule, so we hope to improve the quality of not only our new characters, but we'll also try and improve our other features as well, since we have a
Súper
much better
rifadísima, la
schedule.
neta.
We'll also be automating our stats comparing system, and yes, this was all done manually before. It's really sad. But yeah, now we'll hope that we'll be able to automate it in the future so that it will prevent future issues of us wrongly reading stats.
Es que
And
está diciendo en que
we'll
la
be able to
cagaron y está
catch
pidiendo
on
disculpas
other
en un
overperforming
stream que
characters
no
such
es
as
el
We'll also
lugar.
be separating our internal teams so that one team can focus on features that are currently live, while the other can also focus on features that will develop on future seasons that can be both better, so that both can be better in quality. Okay. I'm sorry.
¿Ok?
Now let's talk about bugs. Bugs are also a related issue with our work schedule. It feels like I'm saying this a lot, I'm sorry, but yeah, bugs are also a related issue. We said last time that we'll try and reduce bugs that happens in the game, and actually it has reduced overall. Like if you see the graph is actually pretty going down. And
Estoy confundido con su
however, the
gráfica.
issue is that there's some bugs that we can actually fix with a quick hotfix, while others are sometimes very hard for us to solve in a short amount of time. It's really not our intention to cherry pick bugs. This is not happening. It's more of some bugs are hard to fix, and some bugs are more easier to fix.
Sí.
These are the problems. So the
¿Eso
most
se
recent
entiende?
one was the Shoichi dagger bug and the Bianca coffin bug. The issue with ongoing bugs is that it's hard for us to pinpoint what's actually causing them. it's hard for us to pinpoint what's actually causing them.
Eso se
If you know
entiende.
what it is, if we know what is causing it, they can be solved relatively easy.
Sí, claro.
For
Eso
us,
se entiende.
it's
Eso se
easier to
entiende.
have 10
No sé por
bugs
qué lo
that
están
we can
compartiendo
easily
otra vez,
fix
pero
rather than one bug that
está
we
bien.
can't
Eso
wrap
se
our heads
entiende.
on.
Se entiende 100%.
Another question was that
Todos los juegos van a
do
tener
we
bugs.
even know what bugs are happening after they've been reported? And the answer is yes. When a bug is reported, they are registered into our bug tracking system, BTS for short.
Está medio
And
rara
when
su
they're in our
gráfica.
system, we
O sea,
try
la
to
gráfica de abajo
reproduce
sí la
these
entiendo,
bugs
la de
every
arriba no.
day by the hundreds. If it's not reproduced, and then we have a problem. And the Bianca Coffin bug and the most recent weapons through Fog of War, these bugs were the most recent bugs that had issues in us being unable to find a reason behind them. Usually this means we would have to rewrite the entire code, and this can take weeks and months. This
Estos
happened
bugs,
to
como no
our
los
Bianca
arreglamos,
Coffin
siguen
bug,
acumulados en
and
las
we had
seasons,
to
pero no lo
rewrite
haremos
the
nada,
code
solo
several
seguiremos pidiendo
times,
disculpas,
and
profesor.
we're
Ese es
really
el
sorry
punto.
that it happened.
Al final, la neta.
We weren't trying to do it, but like stuff happens. And also, when we change data or numbers, there's not a really risk of changing them. However, when we touch on stuff like vision, CC,
Cuando
model
terminemos
changes,
esto, vamos
that's
a
also
crear
another
nuestra
issue.
propia compañía de
The amount
videojuegos.
of codes that interact with stuff like these are much more wider than just
Definitivamente.
a number change. And these things need a full QA check of the change.
Yo creo que sí,
The
podemos
Shinichi
meterlo al
dagger
currículum.
selection bug was also a model issue of the
No,
dagger.
yo creo que
and
esto
we
puede
were
ser
really
un curso.
skeptical about hotfixing it since we do not know what will happen when we hotfix it. It could create other issues, more bigger issues that it could create. So it's really hard for us.
¿Saben cuáles fueron los principales problemas que tuvo este año Eternal? La pérdida de Skazaf. Skaz era una figura que ayudaba mucho a los jugadores nuevos y ayudaba mucho a crear eventos de la comunidad para mantenerla unida y aún así seguir con un pequeño crecimiento. Cuando Skaz se fue, que aún así no soy como que un fanático ciego de Skaz, tenía sus detalles, pero ese fue un problema duro y debieron de haber reemplazado Skaz así. Aesop creo que es un poco más sencillo de lograr reemplazarlo, porque Aesop al fin y al cabo era como una persona buena onda que tenía la capacidad de relacionarse con la comunidad, pero Skaz organizaba eventos, algo que Aesop no sé si hacía, pero aparentemente no. Y la pérdida de él y no haber tenido un reemplazo y no tener un Skaz en cada región, no tener un Skaz en SA, no tener un Skaz en NA, no tener un Skaz en Europa, eso es un error bien grave.
To decide what bugs we will hotfix, what bugs we will not hotfix.
Estoy totalmente de acuerdo. Yo no estoy
to
diciendo que Aesop no era muy bueno en su trabajo, pero un community manager creo que es más fácil de reemplazar a uno bueno que una persona que no nada más era community manager, sino también organizaba los eventos, organizaba toda la parte de la organización de los torneos, que creo que es un poco más complicado. Aesop es muy bueno memeando, no digo que no, y como community manager es excelente, pero Skaz era muy necesario para el contenido.
Start from scratch. In the end, there's no real magical way
No, ya el COVID
on
ya
us,
no es excusa.
like solving
Para nada.
bugs that we can't wrap our heads up on. It's just that we'll work much more harder to make 4 weeks become 2, 6 weeks become 4. So please continue to report any bugs to our support. We're always
No, se fue,
listening,
Gafarin,
and
se
we'll
fue.
continue and try to
Se
fix
fue
them
a
to make a better game.
una... Interesantemente, la mayoría de la gente que Nimble Neuron ha apoyado para crecer se han ido a Riot. Skaz se fue a Riot, Gunner se fue a Riot, que eran los casters, etcétera, etcétera. Los dos se fueron a Riot. Y Aesop, que era el community manager más importante, se fue a otra compañía también. Realmente han usado a Nimble Neuron como una plataforma y no se han dado cuenta de eso. Están apoyando mucho a Circadia, pero la verdad, no al nivel de lo que generaban Skaz y Gunner. Simplemente en cantidad de viewers, Circadia, la verdad... Y yo no tengo nada contra Circadia, ¿eh? Solamente estoy hablando desde la parte 100% objetiva. Circadia no ha podido prender tanto como lo hizo y con el apoyo que tiene, porque Circadia tiene todo el apoyo de Gen G, tiene el apoyo de Nimble Neuron y aún así no ha podido prender tanto como eran ellos. Estoy de acuerdo que Rabbit sería la mejor opción, pero, o sea, Rabbit está viviendo en Corea ya, güey. Ya lo tienen que hacer,
Okay.
pero ya.
Our
Pero
last
lo tienen que
topic
regresar a
before we
NA.
move on to season six,
No puedes tener
and
un
I know this
organizador
is
de
all-
torneos coreano en DNA en Corea.
Also a very popular topic. It's optimization. I know a lot of our people would like to know about our optimization
No,
status.
nadie quiere saber.
And I can say it's a work in progress.
Qué bueno,
Due
nadie
to
quiere
us pushing
saber.
a lot of content each patch, the amount of optimization we push for each patch is usually minused out, which makes the game less optimized, even though we are doing improvements. Also, with optimization, our programmers need to go into the core of our game's coding. So this means an inexperienced dev wouldn't
Básicamente.
be able to do stuff like optimization. So we usually have our most experienced programmer handling this one. It's a real difficult one for us to approach, but we'll be increasing the number of people on this project for now. It will be 2+ people being added to optimization. That doesn't mean 2. We're going to add more people, so please don't use that meme. Okay. We also have plans for advanced options for settings. We expect turning Oni shadows off will provide a significant boost for the options, and we'll try and add more options too as we go on. Okay. We also have 2 long-term projects for optimization too.
Okay.
The first will be our Unity engine update to the 2021 version. There's actually quite a big difference between the 2 versions, the one that we have now and the 2021 version. So we do think that it will help us greatly, but it's also a lot of work, and we expect the arrival of the new engine to be pretty buggy. So we hope y'all understand when it actually comes.
Eso está bien, es
The
importante, y
schedule
más
is
para
scheduled to
Latinoamérica.
be- The update is scheduled to be done
Pero no me importa
within
que me lo
this
platiquen.
year, and we hope to push it out soon.
Eso está bien,
We're
eso
also
está bien,
planning
Jeff.
to
O sea,
include a rendering
Latinoamérica
pipeline
sufre de
called
computadoras
URP, which we think will help us
limitadas.
optimize our
Entonces,
graphics
que
as
esté
well.
mejor
We can
optimizado el juego
actually see
y que
about
puedas
URP here.
correrlo. Es uno de
As
los
you can
éxitos
see,
de
I'm
LoL, por
not
ejemplo.
a
Uno de los
most
éxitos
experienced-
más grandes de LoL. ¿Cómo? Porque en Latinoamérica es que uno de los éxitos más grandes de LoL es que casi una calculadora puede correrlo. En los settings más bajos, LoL es muy sencillo de que una computadora no muy buena computadora lo puede correr. Y en Latinoamérica realmente tenemos ese problema. ¿Te estás burlando de mi tostadora? Pues sí, básicamente de las tostadoras que tenemos todos los latinoamericanos, la mayoría. Sí, exactamente. Entonces, es muy importante la optimización, definitivamente. Pero no necesito saber cómo funciona.
Yeah, we're doing stuff like this. Okay. Now that we talked about optimization, that is it for our Season 5 recap. It was quite the long and complex one, and I'm really sorry to info drop all of this to y'all suddenly, but yeah, I hope that this provided a lot of insight about what we're doing, mostly about our balance, our development pipelines, our branches. We hope that cleaned a lot of that up.
Sí, eso estuvo
Okay,
mal.
now let's move on to Season 6.
Ok, vamos.
Season 6
6
is
to 6,
Lumia
amigos.
Island.
El regreso de Eternal.
Before we go into the actual changes, let's talk about phases. It's basically the early, mid, to late game. Eternal Return can usually be divided into 3 phases. There's the setup phase, where you go around the island to farm. The mid-game phase, where you farm mastery and special materials by going for objectives or killing animals or players. The endgame is played with a restricted area to determine the final survivor. And the setup phase, we think, has actually improved vastly with the material increase patch, where you go around. Let's talk about phases.
Okay.
It's basically the early,
Fases.
mid, to late game. Eternal
El
Return can
early.
usually be divided into 3 phases.
Ajá.
There's the setup phase, where you go around the island to farm. The mid-game
Sí, cuando dice farm se refiere a recoger materiales, es correcto. El early game del juego de Eternal es completar tu primera parte de la build. Y usualmente se juega del día 1 a la mitad máximo de la noche 1. Si estás mamando con el día 2 y no has terminado tu build, estás fuera del juego. Y ese es el early game, realmente. Ok, si le llamas al luteo farmear, estoy 100% de acuerdo. Pero para mí farmear es farmear los animales. Sí, yo también. Es lo que creo que quiere decir. Pero quiero que lo aclaremos.
phase where you farm mastery and special materials by going for objectives or killing animals or players. The endgame is
Correcto.
played with a restricted area to determine the final
Ese
survivor.
no es el endgame.
And
Ese no es el endgame. No puedes, o sea, no puedes tener el early game el día 1, el mid game del día 2 al día 4 y el late game las últimas zonas. Ese no es el late game, güey. Ese no es el late game del juego.
And the setup phase, we think, has actually improved vastly with the material increase patch. The farming became much more easier, and completing your build became much more forgiving. If we increase materials even further, it could feel better, but we don't
Eso
really
está
think
bien.
it would provide
Pero no.
any significant
No,
change
ya no. Ese no es el
The
problema.
mid-game phase, however, became
Pues
much more
cuando sale la
important,
week ya estás
mostly
bastante
with
late.
the addition of objectives.
Sí, sí.
Securing
Me
objectives meant
parece
that
un
it
buen
would
criterio.
guarantee a special
Pero
material,
decir el-
meaning you will fall further behind if you fail to get these items.
Decir que el late game es la última zona están pero sí locos. Ah, no.
And when players start to fall further behind, people have to resort to third partying to the mid to end game. And although third partying is a part of our game, we're a battle royale. Third partying is our friend.
Está bien,
no
Wick.
one really
Wick
likes
es un
the
buen criterio, creo,
experience
para
of
el late
being
game,
jumped
late game, late
mid-fight,
game. Porque ya
and
pasaron
that's
todos los
something we
objetivos.
want to fix. So this kind
no lo
of
pueden arreglar.
flow of gameplay will be greatly changed with the introduction of 3 new features that will be introduced in Season 6. Those
Qué
are
miedo,
the
güey.
transfer drones, transfer consoles, and mutants. Let's start with transfer drones.
¿Qué es eso?
Transfer drones now allow the instant shipment of white materials. This can be done through the craft UI or your saved plan UI as
¿Cómo?
seen here. So if you see this item, if you see this icon, it means that it can be delivered by transfer drones. Although you can't instantly build items with just this system due to there's a set cost on which you gain credits, which I will talk about later on.
Oh
But
my God,
you can,
no.
in the early game, you'll be able to
Oh
get
my
at
God, ¿qué
least one
están
or
haciendo?
2 items obtained through this system from the start. So how is this going to help? Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Transfer drones. The drones will instantly grant your item into your inventory. So the original plan was, this is not the GIF I want. Yes, this is the GIF I want. So if you see, the drones will instantly grant your item into your inventory. The original plan was to have the drone fly in from far away, but was replaced in the final stages with the stealth type drone. Here it is, here it is. Oh, you can see it right now. Okay. You may think, white materials is
Si tienen problemas con la mecánica de crafting, quítenla. Si tienen problemas con la mecánica de crafting, quítenla. No la puedes hacer más fácil ya. No tiene nada, absolutamente nada de complicada ahorita la mecánica de farming. Nada.
just going to change much, but this may actually bring very big changes to the gameplay loop. I'm sure everyone has the experience of missing that one vital item, and you're really stressed.
Pero no lo
you
van a
root
hacer
back,
así.
wasting time.
No se va a
You
utilizar
need
para
a-
eso. No se va a utilizar para agarrar un ítem blanco que te faltó. Se va a utilizar para completar rutas. Ese va a ser el problema. Claro que es más complicado. Y no nada más va a ser más complicado por eso. Pato, muchísimas gracias por el follow. Bienvenido. No nada más va a ser más complicado por eso, sino porque la gente, en vez de que no terminaron un objeto, lo que van a hacer es que van a complementar las rutas. Y van a ser mucho más complicado que una persona nueva entienda que tiene que complementar una ruta. Que va a agarrar una ruta de 4 zonas y va a decir, ¿por qué no puedo terminar mis objetos? Porque el experimentado ya sabe que lo que tiene que hacer es jalar el objeto que no está. O sea, esto no va a aliviar el problema que tienen.
The purple
No lo va a
weapon
aliviar para
loop,
nada.
you die, you turn off the game, you go play another game with 3 lanes and towers. I know that always happens to other people. And with transfer drones, it won't happen now. Because even if you're unlucky during the farming phase, you'll have the saving grace of using the system to get the item that you
Ya no puedes hablar de suerte en el luteo. Se podía hablar de suerte en el luteo cuando las rutas no te daban todos los ítems. Ahorita ya no se puede hablar de suerte. Absolutamente nadie jamás va a tener mala suerte en el luteo. Suena que listo somos. Güey, eso es una tontería, güey. De verdad, es una tontería. El looting, el luteo ya no es suerte, güey.
That you did not get. So basically, this system can also save you from early game misfortunes.
El early game ya no es una.
Okay. And there's also the upside of being able to skip an area entirely too. Some plans require you to go to a certain area just to pick up 1 or 2 items. But using credits, you'll be able to save a lot of time by actually skipping that area as a whole and getting those items through transfer drones. This could open a lot of diverse routes as well. A lot of our internal testers also came up with very interesting builds utilizing transfer drones. And I'm sure our players will be able to come up with much better builds and much more creative builds when the patch hits Lumia Island. This can also be used in the late game as well. Usually when you get the 4 score in...
Uno de los principales problemas que tiene Eternal es la experiencia para un jugador nuevo. Porque está jugando contra gente de MMR muy alto que lleva mucho tiempo jugando y que entiende el juego y simplemente lo están matando y matando y matando constantemente. Esto solamente lo va a grabar. No lo va a solucionar.
End game, sometimes you won't be able to craft anything.
A mí no me molesta que lo metan.
Most of the
Pero para
areas
un
are
jugador
closed,
nuevo.
and you won't be able to get bandages for auto arms. You can't get the headband for Elysian
Halo.
And it's kind of stressing. But with this new system, you'll be able to get those items quickly, and you'll be able to upgrade your items even in the late stages of the game when you can't get that specific white material.
Fíjate, si esta mecánica la meten para late game, estoy de acuerdo por lo que está diciendo. Por si ya está roja una zona y así sí puedes siempre terminar los ítems que tú quieres terminar. Pero para early game, oh, baby. Oh, baby. No, hombre.
Yeah, they'll be helping you with your early game as well as your late game too.
Lo del late game
and now let's talk more
no.
about the mid game. This is where the transfer consoles come in, actually. Our second new feature will be transfer consoles. I said that white materials will be delivered through transfer.
Hola, Pata, estamos viendo el stream de los devs del futuro del juego. Perdón.
Transfer drones, but due to limitations made by the researchers, special materials can only be accessed through transfer consoles. With these, you'll be able to get materials without needing to contest certain objectives or relying on a RNG drop from animals.
A ver, ¿qué?
I said, and now materials will be delivered through transfer game. This is where the transfer consoles come in, actually. Our second new feature will be transfer consoles. I said that white materials will be delivered through transfer drones, but due to limitations made by the researchers, special materials can only be accessed through transfer consoles. With these, you'll be able to get materials without needing to contest certain objectives or relying on a RNG drop from animals. So as you can see here, there's the slot on which you want to pick. You can pick Tree of Lives, Meteorite, Mithril, VF Bloodpath, Force Core, and even First Aid Kit. So, see? So, yeah. But there's also, this looks really good, and it seems like it's a shop, but it's actually not. There's also a downside for consoles. Transfer consoles will only be available starting from day 2 and will require, and this is important, it will require 20 seconds for the material to be shipped to the location, meaning during these 20 seconds, this can also be contested by other players too, because the material itself will be granted as a supply box. So,
bienvenido a Eternal Return. ¿Quieres aprender a jugar? Claro que sí. Hay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hay 6, 4. Hay 10 objetivos en el juego. No, perdón. Hay 14 objetivos en el juego. Hay 4 meteoritos, 4 árboles de la vida, 3 androides y aparentemente 4 console drones. Console chingaderas para llegar a tu late game. Lo único que tienes que hacer es...
if you're not near that place, your supply box is either going to be taken by someone else, or someone could come and fight you for it. Consoles will also be disabled for 1 minute upon usage, so you'll have to show up early to use them too. If other 4 people used it, you can't. So like,
Porque habla de
it can
4
be
people.
used indefinitely, but there will still be this 1 minute downtime between transfers. So you'll have to plan your route to make it so
¿Qué?
like, it can be.
¿No se van? ¿No se van? ¿Escuché bien eso? ¿Son eternos?
Used and disabled for your supply box players too, because the material itself will be granted as a supply box. So if you're not near that place,
¿Pero no se van?
your supply box is either going to be taken by someone else, or someone could come and fight you for it. Consoles will also be disabled.
Disculpe, señor, ¿para qué tenemos ¿para qué tenemos materiales especiales que todo el mundo va a tener? ¿Cuál es el chiste de exponerte en un objetivo? Explícamelo. Explíquenme. O sea, explíquenme. Ahí sí quiero saber. Sí quiero saber cómo llegaron a este pensamiento. No quiero saber cómo funciona su pinche equipo de trabajo. Lo que sí quiero saber es cómo se les ocurre una buena idea tener estas chingaderas.
For 1 minute upon usage, so you'll have to show up early to use them too. If other 4 people used it, you can't. So like, it can be used indefinitely, but there will still be this 1 minute downtime between transfers. So you'll have to plan your route to make it so that the consoles aren't disabled when you arrive to them. There's also only 4 consoles across Lumia Island. The 4 are in Avenue, Hotel, Chapel, Church, and Hospital. So you'll have to carefully plan your next move if you want to use them. And also, you will have to plan your credits too, because costs are still being decided, and you'll also get to see them when the patch hits. Now that we talked about transfer drones and transfer consoles, we can now see how exactly can we use these transfer features. We now have a system called credits. Transfer consoles and drones can be used by using credits. Credits can either be gained over time with the day and night cycle. This means day and night cycle change, and this will be your income with the change. But it can also be gained through killing players as well. However, killing players aren't the really most reliable stuff, the most reliable source to gather credits. So there also needs to be another reliable source to get credits. And that's where mutants come into play.
Sí, básicamente.
With the increase of VF density, due to the increased amount of experiments, our animals are starting to get mutated. These animals won't be at the start of the game and will only appear by chance when they're respawning. And they'll also be more powerful too. And the catch is that when you kill a mutated wild animal, it will grant credits. So basically, it will work as a shard system for your special materials. So each time you kill a mutated wild animal, it will.
¿Quieren solucionar el problema del snowball metiendo un sistema de matar animales shiny, güey?
Add up to your upgrades. Mutants will serve as the middle ground between hunting. It will serve as the middle ground for normal hunting and objectives. They provide a guaranteed resource that will add up for a special material, while also serving as a mini objective due to their power level. Here, you can see all of the cool new animals. Here, you can see.
No, de que están bonitos, están
Stronger
bonitos.
Bear.
Eso no tiene nada que ver.
Here's Barry, and here's Choco.
Eso no es lo que me
And you can
preocupa.
see all of the new animals. They're pretty cool. They're just chilling.
6,000 de vida tiene lo mismo
And
que
as you
Alpha.
can see, although this rarely happens, you better be careful when you're aggroing 2 mutant bears at once, because as you can see by the health bar, they're pretty strong. You don't want to get killed by wild animals, get minus 10 points in your tournament.
Qué divertido va a ser, güey. ¿Qué onda? Bienvenido de regreso. Qué divertido va a ser para los nuevos jugadores, güey. Pelear contra un oso que te aprobaste en late game, güey, y que no entiendas qué fue lo que pasó.
Okay, now that we talked about the 3.
Hola, tan nuevo que hoy me mató 2 veces el alfa. ¿Qué tan malo es eso? Depende con qué personaje te haya matado y depende con qué build te haya matado.
Features, let's talk about
Sí puede
the new
pasar.
phases. with the addition of credits and the transfer drones and consoles, it will provide players with a new strategic advantage. You can either use them early to pull off fast or wacky builds, or you can save them up to get a special material later on. Looking for mutants can now also be a strategy, but it'll kind of be hard to rat off of them because like people can think like, oh, then I can just kill mutants and then I can get upgrades for free.
Ahorita que terminemos de ver esto, Pato, me juego un jueguito con Camilo y te voy a enseñar ahí unas cosas, ¿vale?
By just ratting off of mutants. This will not happen since they're much more powerful, and there's also being the danger of being contested for transfer consoles. So since it will be contested, if you rat it the whole game
Esto es
and
paranormal,
someone
chef.
with much more kills show up.
Esto es paranormals, chef. Esto es paranormals. Van a meter una consola que te va a dejar agarrar una BF Blood Sample en normals que tiene cooldown pero no desaparece. Cada minuto va a estar generando un material raro. Cada minuto va a tener un uptime de cada minuto poder regenerar un mithril, Ay, güey.
You're basically wasted your credits because that guy will just come and take the special material. Okay, so now we have diverse options in the mid game. We have objectives, we have saving credits, rushing, we got the mutants, we got the consoles. We hope that this will be able to provide new fun and interesting strategies coming to Lumia Island in Season 6.
Les insisto, y para nosotros, para mí no es problema esto. Para mí no es problema. Para mí es, jaja, puedo hacer snowball más fuerte. Para los jugadores nuevos, va a ser una mierda. Esta información, como experiencia nueva, ok, es así de sencillo. Hey, Tatiana, qué milagro, bienvenida. Es así de sencillo. LOL tiene 4 dragones, un quinto dragón, o sea, 5 dragones totales, heraldo y varón. En total realmente son 2 lugares de objetivos, nada más. Eternal va a tener 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 más 4, 13 lugares diferentes en donde van a salir objetivos. 13. Explícale a un jugador nuevo los objetivos cuando son 13.
Okay, now before we move on, we will have a quick
Sí, pero ellos quieren eliminar el third party.
Not yet, but we're gonna, before we have to break time, we're gonna show off some cool new ER Pass stuff. I know all of you are hyped for these. At first, we have the Nikki skin. It will be beach volleyball Nikki, and these skin lines were made
qué buen
due to
buff le
our
dieron a
character
Nikki,
voting that happened last week. Last week.
Vean ese buff. Díganme que no está bufeada, ¿eh? Díganme que no está bufeada la Nikki. Se fue de A a C sin pedos, ¿eh? Bufeadísima.
Here. Originally, they were planned for Season 7, but since the characters seemed more fit for a summer-style concept, we put more of our soul into it so that we can get it for you more
excelente trabajo,
early.
Aníbal. Gracias por explicarme cómo funciona tu funcionamiento.
Made second place, so it should have been a rare skin. But, you know, like, it's second place, rare skin, still. And we also had the Daniel changed to Epic, and we thought since Nikki is going to be a season pack skin, we thought why not? Let's just
mucho
do an
más
Epic
complejo,
skin.
pero las waifus sí,
you
10
heard
de
it
10.
here first. Nikki will be a epic skin coming to you with the season pack.
Va a ser una
as well. So,
va a ser una
season pack. I will be watching from your walls.
Vamos a jugar un Rubik's Cube mientras jugamos Eternal.
There were three characters
Para
that
las
were
chicas.
voted in.
Para las chicas, Zane, ¿te gusta?
But like since Nikki made it into the season pack, there was one slot missing. And what better character would be fit for a beach-themed ER pass rather than Daddy Leon? He will be our.
Me gustan las
he will be
sandalias.
making it into our
Chingada
ER pass
madre.
and will be the first skin for the ER pass. And we will be
Sí,
a
ya
rare
sé, yo
skin.
sé. Pero Luke ya tiene una
And
muy guapo.
Looking ahead is This outfit.
Luke ya
I also
tiene
really
una
want
muy
to go on a
guapo.
summer break, and then please give me summer break. I want to go to the beach. Okay, now here is our number 3 on the character vote, which is Rio. Okay, so usually past skins have a uncommon, rare, and epic skin, but this
10
year
de
pass
10.
we will not have any uncommon skins, and all skins will be rare. I mean,
Gracias,
the
Señor
skins that were
Jesús.
originally gonna be uncommon will be a rare skin. So both Rio
Gracias.
and Leon will become a rare skin. Also, there were some people who were very sad about Rio's skin. Rio getting multiple skins. I will talk about
those people.
the skin process in a bit.
No,
So,
no,
yeah, I'll
por
talk about that
favor,
in a
no me
few.
digas más.
We're also gonna have another character vote
Solamente
in the
dame más
summer, so
skins y
please
ya.
look
No
forward
me
to that
importa
too.
saber cómo
And we'll
llegaste a esta
promise we'll
conclusión.
deliver
Dame
more
más
amazing
bikinis.
skins.
¡Ja!
Okay, and our number 1 on our character skin on our character vote,
Güey,
which was
yo
Sua,
creo que hay
and
que
will be our epic
invitarle
skin,
el
final
quiropráctico a
skin
Sua,
for our
Machine.
season 6 ER pass.
Machine
It looks
tiene que
amazing,
irse
so make
al
sure to buy the ER
quiropráctico
pass coming
duro.
on season 6 with your MP. I'm gonna be
Santo
watching.
Madre
I'm gonna be checking your
Jesús.
accounts to see if you purchased the ER pass. I see all of your nicknames here.
Me dio
And we
calor.
got other rewards as well. We got
Whatever.
other rewards as well. We got the
Regresa los
heroes,
skins.
we got the tombstones.
Sí, no,
all the
no.
great stuff.
Quisiera que mi,
And
que
we
mi
have a
relación
special
anterior con
good
mi ex hubiera
news.
durado tanto
We
como
have fixed the
con
bug
tanta
for
fuerza
the
como
red
el
dot bug for the shopping
material del que está
collection.
hecho el
So
bikini de
even
Sua.
though you don't pick every single item that's come out new, it will not show up red. So that can stop bugging you now. It's a big fix.
Whatever.
And there's also gonna be additional rewards after reaching max level of your battle pass. We got a lot of feedback regarding this because like after you reach level 100, there's nothing to do, and we would want more rewards. And yes, that is coming. Playing after reaching max level will grant you EP tokens, giving you the opportunity to buy stuff like old emotes from the past.
Okay. Está bien.
Also, regarding secret shops, the shipping for the last stop should be starting around
Se
next
volvió a
week.
poner aquí
We're really
caliente, déjenme
sorry for the
prenderlo más
delay.
fuerte la
It's
refri.
mostly because of COVID, and yeah, the shipping process wasn't that easy. It wasn't very kind to us over the last year. And we will finally be starting the shipping, and we thank you all for waiting for us about this. The secret shop is also coming back with new goodies for this season. We got the cool new mouse pad with the cool new art for season 6. I'm actually gonna buy this too. It looks amazing. And we also got 2 work in progress projects too. Looking at this, I definitely don't know what this is. It may be a new character, I don't know, but we'll get a new sneak peek as the secret shop comes out. And here is our ER Pass wallpaper available for everyone. And please, everyone, prepare for our summer coming to Lumia Island with Season 6. ER Pass, Season Pack, everything's coming. Time to buy.
Aquí está. Sí, cómo no.
And now we have fun stats for Season 5. We'll
Debe
go
de
over
estar
these
ya
real
en
quick.
el...
So
en
the most purchased skins will be Dragon Dance Lee Dai-Lin, Comfy Bianca, and Midnight
Debe de
Shinobi.
estar en el... Ahorita se los consigo, pero ya debe de estar en algún lado.
Dragon Dance Island will make her first appearance here, but you'll be seeing her more in the other stats too. The most purchased characters were
Güey, pues fue la
Laura,
más comprada. A mí no me
Laura
gustó,
and
pero
Dia.
bueno.
Laura and Dia were new characters, so they were most likely to be most purchased.
Claro.
But Fiora, because of the character price reductions, or it seems like she was quite popular among the new players as well.
No, está muy bien.
For skin usage, it may be confusing on what this actually is. This means that how much a character actually uses a skin. So this means that the whole of 81.8% Lee Dai-Lin users uses a skin.
Wow.
And there's also Heijin and Cicella who also made it first and third place for the last season as well. But you can see that Lee Dai-Lin made her new appearance here as well. We all know why she's here. Because of that skin, the favorite skin, the popular skin.
Sí, ajá.
And also, this is kind of also a fun stat, but most of our characters all have a skin usage rate of
Yeah.
over 50%. So there are more people using skins than not using skins, which is pretty
Tiene
interesting.
sentido, han regalado un chorro de gemas.
And since there's only girls, we also got some boys as well. Our Hyunwoo made it first place with 76.4%. We also have Shoichi and Aisol coming in at second and third place. Another interesting stat is the chroma skin for the cadet Hyunwoo, which only had a usage of 0.8%. Now here's the most used skins. This means that how much the skin was used out of the skin pool. So although Lee Dai-Lin has three skins, 4 counting the base skin, Dragon Dance Lee Dai-Lin was used for 70.1%, which means that 70.1% of Lee Dai-Lin players all use Dragon Dance Lee Dai-Lin. Yan and Zahir also made second and third place. But these characters only have one skin, so it's more understandable that they have a high skin usage rate. Now, this is also another special stat. Characters that have fished the most. We got our Cook of Lumia Island. We got Shukai. We got our Fisher on third place, Lennox. But Bianca made it into the list as second place. I guess she likes fish and chips. We now know that. That's now a canon part of the lore.
Sí, la skin de la borracha es muy buena.
We got the weapon with most kills. We got gloves, bat, and dual swords.
¡Wow! No me hubiera imaginado que en Season 5 el arma que más mató gente fue los guantes. No lo hubiera imaginado.
And finally, we have our Season 5 Meta Golem. If you see something interesting to point from here is that the solo Meta Golem usually have attack speed based items, while squad usually have items from skill amp. The dual one usually had items mostly mixed between attack speed and skill amp. So as I said before, duo seems to be hitting the sweet spot between solo and squad, but we'll be continue to monitor that. Okay. Now with that, we will be moving on to our break and be doing the part 2 for Lumia Island improvements. But before we go, we have our coupon. Our is to just run across and third party, but MP, get your MP right now with double MP. Okay, let's talk about temporary safe areas. As I said earlier, the combat ping deletion did help with third partying.
De acuerdo, esa fue una buena idea.
Able to completely remove it. And third partying will always be a feature in battle royales. But we're still looking for ways to alleviate it. With the addition of transfer consoles and mutants, it would help us scatter players more across the map, and that will result in less fiestas in specific objectives. But another prominent place in which a lot of third partying happens is the temporary restricted areas. Usually, when two players are fighting on the other side of the temporary restricted areas,
dijo que con la implementación de las consolas va a haber menos fiestas, menos clown fiestas, pues menos desmadre, vamos a decir, en una zona en la que haya third party. Yo creo que no, yo creo que va a ser el contrario.
Best option for the other person who's in the other side of the map is to just run across and third party players fighting. When you do this, you usually have the timer, power, and maybe the cooldown advantage as well. So it almost guarantees a win. So currently, players are able to see on their minimap if the area on the other side is having combat or not due to it switching on and off. With the new changes, players will no longer be able to see the opposing restricted areas being turned on and off if they do not have vision of the area. You want to see what's happening? It's now your risk to take. You think they're fighting? You have to go there yourself. You have to check out yourself. If you make the big risk and went there and you don't see them fighting, damn, you wasted time. So there's more stuff to think about in final restricted areas.
Es un excelente cambio.
Temporary
excelente cambio,
so
excelente. No tengo nada que decirle.
And we hope that this will not encourage
estos son los cambios que tienen
in this later stages of the game.
Absolutamente todo. O sea, muy, muy buena. Lo que va a pasar ahora es que en las dos zonas, para que tú sepas si la zona enemiga... Haz de cuenta, vamos a suponer que tú estás en una zona acá arriba, ¿no? Y está la otra zona acá. y tú estás peleando aquí cerca, para que tú sepas si la zona de abajo se puso color rojo, o sea que hay dos personas peleando, vas a tener que verlo. No va a ser a través del Fog of War. Si hay una pelea acá, esta zona no va a perder el color en el mapa. Entonces, eso va a ayudar a que la gente no diga, ok, están peleando, voy a hacer third party. Que es una estrategia que obviamente todos en Elo decente toman. Estás viendo que están peleando dos, llegas y te peleas. Ahora, si para que veas, si la gente está peleando, te vas a tener que acercar a ver. Entonces, eso es un buen cambio para evitar el third party de las últimas zonas. Eso es un muy buen cambio.
We got flowers and feathers. Flowers are now growing all around Lumia Island, making them easier to access. And feathers can all be also gained by killing mutant chickens.
Oh,
So
por
that's
fin,
why
mira.
easier too.
Ahora
we believe that
los pollos
providing ways
mutantes
to
van
get
a
flowers
dar
and feathers this way
feathers.
it provides a opportunity to give materials in a more lore-friendly way. And we'll try and introduce more of these interactable ways to gain certain objects, items in the future. Oh, mutant chickens, not just chickens.
Sí, sí, entendemos.
You got to get that right. Wickline improvements. Wickline improvements, to be honest, aren't really going that well. AI improvements are really tricky for us, and yeah, it's still being pushed. We are on Copium, but we'll do it. However, there will be some other improvements to Wickline too. Wickline will now spawn in 3 different locations based on the current restricted area state.
Okay.
She will also be unable to be aggroed when you hit her at a certain distance, so it's no longer possible to yoink her for long range as well. So that will help.
Okay.
So yeah, that will help other players too. She needs more improvements, and that's a fact. Mostly the AI ones. I know she teleports across your character, and it's really...
Me imagino que range se refieren a algo muy lejano, como tipo, no sé, como la W de Río, o algo muy, muy lejano, o el sombrero de Emma. Algo así me imagino que se refieren. No creo que sea con un autoataque.
Bad, but, you know, we'll slowly but surely try and improve her.
Ajá, la de sniper. Ándale.
No, it's not no aggro from ranged attacks. It means that if you're in a certain distance, it will not get aggro.
Sí, bueno.
You can still aggro.
Exactamente. O sea, puedes ser aggro, pero por cierta distancia no te va a pelar.
This was kind of an interesting one.
Como
this
la
is bushes and sounds of footsteps. So footsteps are something that we've been debating quite a long time. So footsteps create a lot of tension in game, but it also gives a lot of information.
Sí.
In a game with very limited access to vision, this basically replaced stuff that you can basically gain from vision.
Okay.
However, when it came to actual combat, by hearing the footsteps, you can know exactly what your opponent is trying to do. This results in, even if you enter a bush, your opponent can hear your footsteps, and the opponent will know exactly if you're moving left, you're moving right, whether you're waiting to make a counterattack. So when you're being chased, it was could kind of be strange. So we're trying to reduce the amount of information provided by this. We tried a lot of ways to tweak footsteps. We tried reducing the range of footsteps. We tried removing enemy footsteps entirely. But in the end, we settled on removing footstep sounds in bushes. With this change, you can now more easily trick your opponents with your movements. You can outplay them by going into the bush and coming back out, and can try.
No estoy muy seguro que querramos tener outplays de bushes. Son súper frustrantes. Y el bush management es bien complicado para una persona mala, de verdad. O sea, si están complicando para ganarle mecánicamente a un enemigo, el bush management es súper, súper complicado.
O
sea, para alguien de low elo o para una persona nueva va a ser más complicado.
Juking too. During our playtesting, this was
totalmente, yo entiendo.
The most fun, but please give your feedback on this, because this is something that we're trying out in preseason, and we definitely need your feedback on this. And if after we get all the feedback, we'll try and improve this further. Also, this was a question I kind of got throughout the last patch. With the improvements of our sound system, issues like footsteps sounding like doubling, these stuff, and not very intuitive mechanics such as ghost stepping, stop, will be removed overall, and we will be replaced into features such as this. Okay, saved plans. With the introduction of transfer drones, we're also trying to shift around the UI for the saved plans
es
section
irrelevante.
as well. But sadly, we're still in the planning process for this at the moment.
La
so it may
la
take some
UI
time,
de los
but we're
planes no
definitely
está mal
on this,
hecha.
so please look out for this one.
Ya no puedes caminar sin ruido. En el bush no vas a hacer ruido.
Okay, now let's talk about adding new systems. This is kind of a middle line. So like we're gonna have a quick talk about adding new systems. So when we add a new system, it can bring new change to the game and can provide newfound fun to original players as well. But this can also be
Pues dijeron que van a quitar el ghost stepping. Oh, no sé, nunca lo había hecho yo, probablemente. O sea, dijeron que ya no va a haber ghost step. Si eso era ghost step, pues ya lo quitaron. Yo nunca lo he hecho.
added as a barrier for new players too. Like each time we add a mechanic, it becomes much more harder for new players to
Estoy de acuerdo.
to get used to it. Recently, we got the chance to talk with a famous developer, thanks to Microsoft. The developer said that the most important thing for a season-based game
Fíjate.
is to create new fun.
Fíjate lo que va a decir aquí, ¿ok? Este es uno de los problemas que tiene la industria de los videojuegos ahorita. Escuchen esta línea.
Recently, we got the chance to talk with a famous developer, thanks to Microsoft. The developer said that the most important thing for a season-based game is to create new fun while removing the unfun from each season, with the emphasis on the removing the unfun part.
Por lógica, no hay manera sustentable de que cada temporada el juego sea más divertido y sea menos no divertido. No hay manera sustentable. Si no tienes una base clara de qué es lo que tú quieres que sea tu juego, no puedes de manera sustentable seguir agregando cosas y quitando seguir agregando cosas que la gente quiera y seguir quitando cosas que la gente no quiera. No se puede. Es imposible. Es una paradoja. No se puede. Simplemente. Es algo que tienen que entender ellos. Tienes que tener tu sistema en el lugar. Imagínense. Hola R480, bienvenido. Hace mucho que no te leía también. Imagínense que Riot dijera en algún momento: ya no me divierte o no divierte a los jugadores farmear minions. Los minions se van. Hay una cosa que tú sabes que de LoL nunca se va a ir, y eso es farmear minions. Porque en la estructura del juego está hecha alrededor de eso. No importa que la gente lo odie. No importa que la gente lo odie. Va a estar ahí siempre. Entonces tú no puedes estar siempre agregando cosas buenas y quitando lo que no era divertido con un juego de ciclos. Es insustentable.
Each time when we present new features to a NA publisher or other game company, the question we usually get is, okay, it looks cool, but so what's going to be removed in this place? You can't just keep adding stuff. Removing a system is not always the most welcome way for players, so it's really hard for us to remove a system as a whole. There's stuff like that was well received, such as the...
No es que sean buenas o sean malas. Es que son parte de tu experiencia. Punto. No es que sean buenas o sean malas. Si no te gusta farmear, no juegues LOL. Si no te gusta craftear ítems en Eternal, no juegues Eternal, porque la única otra alternativa es que te den los ítems.
Combat ping removal, which greatly reduced third partying. But there were also changes such as closing the food gap or the auto revive stuff.
Sí, pero en LOL tienen la player base para poder hacer pendejadas como Aram. Aquí no la tenemos.
As well. This do have mixed feedback, and we are trying to improve it as we go on. Reloads
Lo de la comida
also
no lo
fall
deberían
into
de
this
mover. Está bien
category.
ahorita como
The
está.
whole idea was
Eso
that
fue
we
una
wanted
tontería.
to remove the mechanic to make
Eso
it
fue
easier,
una estupidez.
and also removing a designated hotkey. However, this was the wrong choice.
Claro.
This was another certified nimble moron moment.
Nimble moron moment.
We should have considered how much it will make it hard for our original users. You know, like we should have taken all of that into consideration. How much
Entiendo que no te haya hecho gracia porque tú sabías craftear las comidas buenas, pero también entiendo que para un player nuevo era muy complicado tenerse que aprender no nada más las recetas del build, sino también las recetas de comida. Entonces, creo que un sistema de comida para mí como jugador me afecta porque yo ya no tengo la ventaja sobre mis enemigos, pero entiendo que para un jugador nuevo es bastante complicada. Y creo que mientras más sencillo sea el sistema de comidas, va a ser más fácil la barrera de entrada para un jugador nuevo. Para un jugador experimentado te afecta, pero prefiero y estoy dispuesto a sacrificar esa pequeña ventaja que yo tenía en duelos para que gente nueva entre al juego que le hace falta.
It would make it harder for our original users too. So, but yeah, we'll try and
No,
stop
no sirve
doing
mucho
those
la hamburguesa.
stuff. With the addition of transfer consoles and drones and Cobalt protocol, I guess we're all just busy on our own work, and the pressure pressured us out of thinking clearly. When removing something, we'll try and think more hardly on what we'll try and remove, and we'll try and remove the bad and not remove something good, like the reloading stuff. Still, but we do have a new removal change for the next one, and I honestly
La
think
verde.
a lot of people are going to be
Hace muchos
happy
años,
about
pero sí, la
this.
verde.
Let's
La verde daba
go.
dodge.
It is the removal of ESD and EBAD. We're getting rid of FlatAmp and EBAD. FlatAmp and EBAD are almost being removed from the game.
No sé
In the
cómo lo
early
van a
stages
cambiar.
of the game, EBAD and FlatAmp provided content for the players and opened up new builds. But with the coming times, these
Yo estoy de acuerdo que quiten el IVAD, el FlatAmp, no sé qué chingados están pensando, güey. El IVAD que se vaya a la chingada, güey. Pinche innecesaria cálculo de fórmula de daño, innecesario, súper complicado, qué pendejada. Pero el FlatAmp no entiendo qué chingados están pensando.
that served as a roadblock for us when we're dealing with balance. Like when you say, can we buff skill damage for characters with multi-hit? No, because EBAT exists. And vice versa for FlatAmp. Also,
Si van a cambiar el FlatAmp por un, o sea, como tipo con Riot, como LOL, que ahora te va a dar un número set de amp, está bien. El problema es, recuerden, que aquí el AD también te da P. Porque no tienen
with
esa
Season
distinción.
6, FlatAmp will be completely removed from the game. FlatAmp is no more. It is no
Okay.
more. You cannot find it inside Lumia Island. While EBAD will remain in the game, but it will be very limited in usage and will also become a
quita
unique
EBAD!
option. So, yes, EBAD is still in the game, but it's going to be really
quita
limited, so you won't
eso.
see
¿Por qué no
scary
quitan-
stuff
por
like
qué
that
quitaron el
like, as
FlatAmp y
now.
no quitaron el IVAD?
EBAD and FlatAmp defense will also be
Santo
vastly
Dios.
removed or adjusted as well.
Sí.
And with these big,
No,
big
el INAD
changes, honestly,
el INAD
this
era
should
la
bring a
temporada pasada.
lot of big changes to both roots and balance tiers across the board, and there's going to be a big shakeup. It may bring chaos throughout the preseason, but we do think that this was a change that had to be made. The
Aquí el
community
tipo
wanted
consciente
it,
más sería
the
viable.
devs
Yo digo
wanted
que
it,
sí.
and we're doing it. And it will benefit characters for the coming future. Okay, so we can't just remove stats and do nothing. So with the FlatAmp and EBAD being almost non-existent now, we'll be adding more skill amp ratios to characters now. Previous skills had a lot of
characters?
AP ratios, which means high AP gave a lot of advantages. However, this created issues in which characters would lose individuality and also led to metas in which tanks
Eso lo
would just
entiendo.
stack defense and HP
Eso lo entiendo
regen,
100%.
they would ignore every damage.
Era el problema de por qué una EMA de AD te podía one-shotear con AD. Eso no tenía sentido. Nunca tuvo sentido. Porque así es, efectivamente, perdía el sentido de buildearla de AP cuando el AD te hacía mierda y aparte los skills también te pegaban un chingo.
The game, and Magnuses will be swarming the last restricted area. So what we're going to be doing is we'll be adjusting a lot of skills to be reduced in AP ratios, but we're also going to be adding skill amp ratios to existing characters.
Se
For
rindieron. Se rindieron. Básicamente lo que están haciendo, le iré diciendo, ¡Ey! Baby, muchísimas gracias por esa suscripción. Sota, ya 9 meses. De verdad, muchísimas gracias. Básicamente se rindieron con sus fórmulas y están copiándole a Riot. Eso es lo que están diciendo. Ya no va a haber el AD ratio como estaba antes. Ahora va a ser con amp ratio. O sea, Ya, ahora vamos a tener lo que se conoce como el AD y el AP.
example, Adriana's Q will be changed from true damage to skill damage, and it will have a new skill amp ratio while also
AP.
having her AP
Skill damage
ratios
is AP.
decreased. So basically, it's going to be skill damage with amp ratios
A mí no
and
me
AP
molesta.
ratios.
No me molesta porque estoy de acuerdo con
MSQ
lo que
will
dices, es
also
mucho
have
más
a
fácil de
new skill
balancear.
amp ratio for reduced AP ratio. So we hope that with this
Sí,
change,
estoy de acuerdo, no
characters
está
will
mal
have more
relativamente.
diversity on which builds they choose, and hope that it can create more playstyles in the future too.
A mí, sí- a
as we
mí,
go
a mí
on.
sí me gusta
The
para
one
la
thing we
identidad
are
del
kind of
personaje, en
worried
eso estoy de
about
acuerdo.
is that skill amp is currently a percentage ratio,
Es
which
que
is kind of hard to understand.
era horrible que una Emma... ella fue, creo que... Por algo está ahí. Creo que es la que te insultaba más en ese sentido. Y también Adriana. Que una Adriana que te pegaba autoataques te estaba haciendo mierda y después te tiraba al fuego y te hacía más mierda. Eso es un problema bien grande. Porque está escalando con puro AD. Bueno, no AD, perdón. Con AP. Attack Power. Aquí le dicen Attack Power. Pero lo conoceríamos en Riot o en LoL se conocería como AD, como Attack Damage. Y creo que ese sí era un problema. Que una Adriana te podía derretir con autoataques o con habilidades. Y eso pues se me hace un poco injusto. Igual cuando Emma lo pudo hacer con crítico Emma, era una grosería, güey. Era una grosería.
And
Sí,
when we
exactamente.
just see it, and when we're calculating damage, we are considering changing it to a number-based stat so that it would work similar as ADAP,
Sí,
such
ahí
as the
está.
one in League of Legends.
Sí,
But
exactamente.
We'll try and see that. Please
Es
give
lo
it
que-
your feedback
es
on
lo
this,
único que
and
pueden
we'll
hacer.
see how it
Sí,
goes.
a mí se me hace que está bien. Va a ser más sencillo balancear.
Okay, and now we have the item rarity rework, with more special materials being available to players due to
Okay.
the Transfer Console edition. Item rarity is also going to get a rework.
¿Ok?
In the early parts of the game, stuff like radar were legendary items because they were very hard to craft.
No,
compared
no,
to
no.
other items.
No porque la esencia de Eternal no es el balance. Porque cuando tú tienes un juego como Eternal, tenemos que pensar en esto. Cuando tú tienes un juego como Eternal, tú estás intentando
But now that there are
reinventar la rueda, ¿verdad? Porque los MOBAs funcionan. Está Dota y está League of Legends, que son fórmulas probadas que han funcionado constantemente. En Eternal están tomando un riesgo bien grande, hacerlo un Battle Royale. Pero no pueden reinventar la rueda en tanto. Y ese era uno de los problemas que tenían con el INAD. El INAD fue un intento de decir, nosotros no nada más estamos reinventando la mecánica del MOBA, sino el cálculo del daño, de cómo se hacen las fórmulas para calcular cuánto daño está haciendo un enemigo a otra persona. Y eso se les complicó un montón. El INAD nunca estuvo balanceado, el IVAD nunca estuvo balanceado, porque estaban metiendo capa sobre capa sobre capa sobre capa sobre capa. Cuando ya tienes un sistema que funciona en juegos como Dota, que tienes un sistema que funciona en juegos como League of Legends, que está probado que funciona para calcular los daños y así poder nerfear y bufear acorde. Yo prefiero mil veces, y eso siempre lo dije, por ejemplo, yo mi Cicela siempre la jugué de AMP, porque a mí no me gustaba la Cicela de AD. Yo nunca la jugué así porque se me hacía que es una grosería para la identidad del personaje. Emma nunca la jugué de críticos. Adriana sí la jugué de AD. Eso sí, lo debo admitir. Adriana sí la jugué de AD. Pero en su mayoría me quedaba con los personajes como estaban pensados. Los magos como magos.
Almost all of the normally crafted items.
Entiendo de dónde vienen, aunque no nos guste.
I'm sorry.
Básicamente, entiendo de
Almost
dónde
all of the
vienen.
normally crafted items will be changed into epic items, while special material items will be boosted into legendary items. Following this, there's also going to be huge adjustments in stats regarding this as well.
Está bien que te guste la Cicela de autos. Lo que no está bien es que la Cicela de autos también te pegue un chingo con sus habilidades. Eso es lo que yo digo. Tiene que tener una debilidad.
So
Este cambio está
also
perfecto.
keep a lookout
No tiene
on
sentido
those
que el
big
radar sea
changes
legendario.
as well. We're going to have a big shakeup with all of these changes.
Eso está bien.
So prepare for a very chaotic
Eso es algo,
but
era algo
fun
que se me
season
hacía bien
6.
raro también. Sí.
Now, this one's kind of interesting. These are traps. Traps are kind of in a niche spot right now. They're currently only being used by a select number of players, and the recipes are also pretty hard to memorize. The current plans
Sí,
for traps
exactamente.
is trying to make it easier to craft while also providing special gimmicks for each trap.
Híjole.
This one
Ahí
was
sí no estoy de
a
acuerdo
kind of a
tampoco,
long
güey.
one
Me
coming,
gustaría que quitaran
but
las
Clay
trampas.
Clatters will have a special gimmick of creating a ping on the map whether it's being
Esa es
stepped
una
on,
mecánica
but also
súper
when it's
complicada.
being installed.
Súper complicada
So
las
you can
trampas.
either create a false ping yourself to lure enemies to you, or you can make your enemies step on cling cladders so you can know where they are. Gimmicks
Se me
are
hace un poco
something that can
complicado.
be hard to balance. We haven't really decided on all of the gimmicks as well.
No.
And
Les van a agregar
we do not
efectos.
want to have traps. We do not want traps to be a must-have for combat. So, like, if you don't have traps, you just instantly lose the game. We do
Sí.
not want this. So we'll continue to monitor it and plan this thoroughly. Can it make a funny noise too? Our director is listening, so I'll relay that. Can cling cladders have a fun noise when it's triggered?
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay, now let's go on to the number of players. This one's kind of a tricky one. This is always a very important question. How many players would it make it to be most exciting to play on Lumia Island?
Por favor,
Would
que
it
no
be more
muevan,
players,
güey.
less
Por favor, que no le
players? Is
muevan.
always the
Por favor, que
question.
no le muevan.
Regarding this, we'll be adding the varying test subject feature. And this is actually a long requested feature for an NA, EU, SA ranked. Basically, if matching becomes too longer, the game will start at 15 people. Yeah, this was one that you really wanted. It will start with 15 people if the matchmaking becomes too long. This was
Ok.
quite the requested feature in
Ok.
English.
Eso está bien siempre y cuando funcione como lo están diciendo. Si el matchmaking está tardando mucho, mete a 15 personas de golpe y se acabó. Pero, por favor, no le metan ni le quiten de base, no le quiten. Una de las cosas que a mí más me gustó de Eternal, a diferencia de la mayoría de los Battle Royales, es que tiene la densidad perfecta, en mi opinión, entre jugadores y el mapa, que siempre estás haciendo algo, siempre te estás divirtiendo. No tienes que estar buscando por media hora como en PUBG o como en el Naraka, por ejemplo.
Speaking regions due to our current state of matchmaking. And it's finally here. We don't know how much it will change matchmaking, but we're trying it out. So get ready to spam 14-15 instead of 17-18. However, there are some bad news. The exact timeline is not set, but we do want to put it in during season 6 because this requires some coding, so we're not really sure.
Está bien.
But
No me
we
molesta.
want to do it within season 6. We definitely want to do it within season 6. Oh, for duos, this is for all modes. So we're going to tweak each mode specifically to start with less players
tiene sentido.
if the matching becomes too long. 14-15 was
Tiene
a
sentido.
example. So yeah, it's going to be like that. And we want to do it within season 6, but even if it's late, we'll do it within season 7 at the latest.
No sé, la verdad. Exactamente quién es, no sé.
Okay, now this is a visual update time. We're going to look at Lumia Island's visual updates. Visual updates might be a bit scary because of optimization, but rest assured, this will bring an increasing quality while also decreasing optimization overload, so it's a good change.
A ver.
However, due to Cobalt protocol, there's not that much changes compared to last time, so let's just have a look at them.
A ver.
We got the pond bridge getting an arc. Yes. Best change in the whole season.
¿Por
We will
qué?
also have signs that you will never see.
¿Por qué?
because
¿Por qué?
it's a
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
top-down
¿Por qué?
view
¿Por qué le están
game.
metiendo más color de la visión?
We also have
No le vayan a
cemetery.
meter.
Texture updates.
whatever.
Best change in the game.
No entiendo para qué
We
le
also
metieron el
made
arco.
this running down house into. We made
Sure.
it worse.
Esas
It's
son
more
cosas
broken
buenas.
now,
Eso
before
está bien,
Battle
pero el arco está
Royale.
bien imbécil, güey.
We got the entrance to cemetery. It has a sign now. Best change. And we got fences, walls for cemeteries too. So Lumia Island is now a completely different place. We did it, boys.
¿Eso es todo?
Okay. Now that's over. Let's go on to the new
Ok,
characters.
eso fue rápido.
I'm sure you
Lo
all
del arco no entiendo para qué chingados nada más.
seen the concept arts, but let's go over them quickly. We got the ruthless aggression character,
El Berserk.
Marcus. He's our newest axe user, and he looks pretty bulky. I also know he's the savior of Eternal Return. When Marcus comes out, we're going to have ranked 24/7, so prepare for that one. And we also got Carla.
Nadine
Carla was
Edgy.
also introduced. She's got the new harpoon crossbow, so she's going to use that to catch some big fish.
Ok,
Looks pretty cool too. Probably one of my favorites.
estoy de acuerdo.
There's also our newest character that was revealed yesterday. It's Estelle, the new firefighter type character. She also is an axe user, but also has that shield. So maybe she's gonna use some tanky moves to show off in Lumia Island.
Ese tipo va a ser un dolor de voz para balancear en
Last but not
solos.
least, we have Piolo. Yes, the name is gonna be Piolo. EU in-houses can cry all they want. The name is gonna be Piolo, and he will be our newest nunchaku user.
Okay.
And he looks pretty cool. Do not hate on Piolo, guys.
Está curada.
No, it's
Sí,
not
sí.
Piolo. Okay,
Piolín.
let's go. Now let's move on to the new skins. Piccolo. I'm sorry. Okay, new skins.
Piccolo.
We got Spirit Hunter Aiden.
Eso está
Pretty
inculera,
cool.
güey. Está en
Spirit
X.
Hunter is already a very popular
Boo,
popular skin line.
boo, boo.
We got my personal favorite. We have Jailhouse Phantom Lara.
No me gusta ahora, pero está curada.
The piece of bread can now show off in style when he dominates in EU tournament.
Mami, sí.
In the season end cup coming this week, finals this week on Nimble Neuron channel. We got Street Atelier Tia. She looks pretty cute in this one.
Whatever.
And the paintbrush is actually really cute. We got Lumia Land Felix, who works at an amusement park. Maybe that's the new
Está
part-time
chistoso.
job that Felix found.
Esa está chistosa. La de Félix está chistosa.
There's also Eternity's Blossom
Boo,
Priya.
boo, Priya, boo.
Please give some love to our girl Priya.
Ah, come on, güey. La de Félix,
Please.
Está
Okay.
chistosa. Está buena.
And we have
Esa parece un recolor nada más.
Green Adina. Yes, you have Green Adina, and she's going to be Fate's Arcana Adina.
Sí, ese es un croma.
We also have Black Swan Elena. We're also giving
Whatever.
love to our skater Elena too. And we got Marcus's new skin. He's already
Está
showing
bueno,
off
güey.
that grip. He's not even out yet.
Esa
and
está
I
curada,
can
pero
already
me
see
gusta
that
más
he's
su skin
gonna be
base,
the
creo. No me
savior
gusta
of
tanto
VR.
esto.
Yes.
No sé por qué tiene
We're
una
getting
llanta aquí
ranked 24/7.
en hombrera.
There's also the new lifeguard skin for Carla too.
¿Quién es Carla,
Right
güey?
down her
Ah,
alley.
la Nadine Edgy.
We also got the summer-themed Magnus.
Güey,
It's
ese
not
vato tiene
bikini
como
Magnus, but
25
this will do.
cuadros en la
He's got
panza,
that
güey.
cool summer vibe thing. So, and he's also got the new green motorcycle. So
Está curada.
let's go.
Está curada.
We also got Esto's new skin. She looks blue in this rather than red.
Primero
so
que
look forward to
salga,
this
¿no?
too. I also saw that Esto was pretty popular among the English-speaking regions. So keep a good eye on her too. We also got Piolo's new skin. And Piolo's new skin is actually very special.
Esta está
Piolo's new skin will
perrísima.
actually be
¿Qué con este Ken
will
Piolo,
actually
güey?
be
Damn, güey.
released with the character.
Oh, no, esta está potente,
So he will be the first character who is
Potente,
also
güey.
going to get a skin on release.
Sí, no.
This was
Piolo sí está
always
piola, güey.
requested.
Piccolo,
I think
sí,
it
estoy de
was,
acuerdo.
When we first announced
Esta
skins,
piola
it's finally
está
happening.
piola,
so
la neta.
we hope that we'll be able to do stuff
Eso sí
like
me
this in the
gustó.
future as well.
Damn, güey, está muy buena, ¿eh?
We got Exterminator
Está
Adriana.
chistosa.
We hope that her exterminating skills can also get rid
No
of
sé
our
cómo va a
bugs in
funcionar el
game.
fuego, pero si va a tener más...
And okay,
Ah.
this one's kind of a long one.
Ay, ay,
This one we'll be
Permítame.
talking about our state of skins.
Permítame. Sí, no, esta
A
está
lot of
bien
you
también.
may be
Jalo,
wondering
jalo,
why
jalo,
we
jalo,
also
jalo.
got a lot of skins and why is Aya not getting a skin that fast. First, it's not because Enon likes a specific character. We love all of our characters equally, mostly because, as we showed you, each character takes up to 7 to 8 months. It takes an extremely long time and effort to create each character. We
Esa me
just
gustó.
cannot love a specific character and do not like another because these are all characters that we created through our hard work and we all love all of our characters. Also, the process of making skins is really complicated. Usually, the dev team plans skins for characters that did not have a skin for the
Sí,
longest
yo-
time.
yo me quedo con
being
las-
it
con las
Aya for
gafas.
right now. The art
Hey,
team
¿qué
then
onda,
looks at the
Pepsis?
plans and speculates if they'll turn out pretty when we reach the end. The business team prefers characters that are popular should
Yo
be
me
the
quedo-
ones
yo me
that
quedo
should
con
get the
Susan.
skins. This is because usually
Ara,
a
indeed,
popular
mommy.
skin will sell over more than 20 times than an unpopular skin. That's actually a pretty big amount. And being a game company, we we are still a company, so we can't ignore all of these requests.
Sí,
but
sí,
we
sí,
always
sí,
are
eso tiene
in
sentido. O sea,
discussions
eso lo siento por la gente, pero eso tiene
to
sentido.
get skins to all of our
O sea,
lovable
no,
characters.
lo siento si
The
juegas
ER pass, it also comes into play because since we have
Lo siento mucho si juegas un mono que no juega la gente, pero realmente se entiende que las skins que más vendan, o sea, los monos que más vendan skins van a ser los que más van a tener skins. Eso es pura lógica.
match concepts, certain
No dejan de
characters
ser
may
una
end
compañía
up
que tiene que
taking
ganar dinero.
slots.
En eso, no,
Leon,
en eso yo no le
because
reclamo nada.
he's our cool surfing guy, made it into our beach ER pass. So some stuff like that can also be taken into consideration.
Cisela, por ejemplo,
when
ya
you
tiene
pick
bastantes.
skins.
Tiene tres,
There's
¿no?
also the
Sí,
issue
tiene
of
tres,
external
Cisela.
reasons. Having skins with short release terms like Rio are 100% bad. No one wants this. Even the business team, dev team, art team, no one wants this to happen. This also happened before with Yuki when we released Midnight Shinobi Yuki because this was part of our
Fue la skin más vendida,
events with Microsoft, and that ended up resulting in that schedule. Skins are also sometimes outsourced. I think I talked about this before, but yes,
las
our
tengo
skins are
todas las de
sometimes
Rio.
outsourced, and we can run into unexpected issues. It can be from size, quality, anything that can be an issue that can result in a retake, or the project can be dropped entirely based on the issue. The skins that we already showed you are mostly the ones that we can surely finish, like we can deliver 100%. And there's also, so that means there's also a lot of other skins that are being prepared behind the scenes too. The Aya skin here in particular is one of those unfortunate ones. As you can see, the concept art is using the old logo, meaning that she was set to release way before, maybe even last year, but like various issues got into the way. This skin is currently scheduled for August 25th, but we can't really make any promises since it's close to season 7. Things could be shifted, but yeah. We hope that this kind of gave an insight of our skin situation, and we're really sorry for all of the players waiting, especially the Aya players who've been waiting almost over a year, and we'll try and not disappoint on this one.
Está bien.
Okay, now we get to see a deep dive of our
Cobalto,
delayed,
a ver,
but will be
vamos a ver.
fun Season 6 Cobalt Protocol,
Vamos a ver.
which will be coming in just a month.
A mí me gusta ella porque es muy sencilla de
Let's
usar, güey.
go.
Y es
Cobalt
bueno para los
Protocol
nuevos
will be a
players.
4-on-4 battle arena type mode.
Okay,
And I
4
know
contra
this
4.
part was controversial, but yes, the game is random pick, but it's not totally random. It's a semi-random pick style.
No.
I'll try and explain this. Upon game start, all players will be assigned one character, but can also choose a character from the shared character pool in the middle. Meaning you can swap out characters with your current one, with your other teammates. So basically you'll be gaining access to 8 characters per team. So this will be happening in the first round. But there's also another catch. There's a second part of the picking phase.
Y
The
así,
selection pool
desde
you
el inicio
see here
dijeron que
now,
sería
in
random.
the section,
Puta
in the
madre, yo no
second
había
part,
leído
will
eso.
be
Así de
replaced with
fácil, ya
your
perdí
opponent's team's
mis ganas de
pool.
jugarlo.
That means you'll be gaining 4 new characters to access from your opponent. So basically you'll be gaining
No, yo
access to
no.
12 characters
Yo
in total,
no.
which is
Yo no creo
almost
que estemos
1/5
listos
of the
para un modo
entire
como Aram.
roster, which gives you a lot of choosing points.
No sabía. No sabía, estoy
So
muy
when
triste.
you choose your characters, not only do you want to choose the ones you want, you also need to think about what you don't want to give away to your opponent team. So, and you also get to choose from a pretty large pool, so you have more
Pueden ver el
control on
momento en
what
el
you
que se
want
me
to.
rompe mi corazoncito.
For the
No,
augment
güey, no.
section, you can see here, you can't really pick the sub-augments. You rather pick a core augment from one of these. And for sub-augments, there are special stuff called infusions.
No me gustarán,
that can
güey,
also be
porque es
purchased
random,
in-game.
güey.
And let's look at those too. Let's go. So for items, as you know, there is no crafting in Cobalt Protocol. And instead, you go through a draft and get to choose from 3 options from each of the slots. If you see here, there's two items and 1 random slot. So basically, you can choose from one of these 2 options, or you can choose the random item if you do not want either of the 2 options. Choosing the random option will also give you additional credits, so that will be able to use for more infusions. Infusions will serve as kind of a sub-augment, but they are much more powerful than sub-augments. They're really variable in effects. There's stuff that knocks back your opponent. There's stuff that increases your movement speed, airborne, all of that other stuff. And you'll all get to see that when Cobalt Protocol comes out. Okay, here's a quick top-down view of the map. It looks kind of empty now, but this is because there aren't the objectives spawned yet. So when you move into game, it will look more sleeker and more slick and
No entiendo.
a more laboratory themed style
entiendo.
rather than Lumia Island, which is post-apocalyptic.
No entiendo.
Map size. The map size is about the same size as archery range and school put together. When the game starts, the lab will be divided into two parts. So it will basically be a 2-on-2 mode for phase 1. So 2 players, 2 players, 2 players, 2 players. There will be a 2-on-2 mode for phase 1. This wall in between cannot be crossed by any means. So phase 1 will definitely, you'll definitely need to fight the opponent team, and you cannot meet up with your other teammates. Phase 1 will be about capturing the AMP device between the two teams. This device will grant points along with a combat buff. Since this buff is also provided to your teammates across the map, you can help each other by getting this device. If you want to see it on the map, the AMP device will be here in the middle of phase 1 maps. So you'll be able to fight 2-on-2, basically contesting this objective. There's also going to be a team turret at the corner of each map. This will be serving as the team's resting spot. You regen HP and SP while also getting protection by your turret and sitting under your turret. However, sitting under your turret does not grant you any points. So you're going to have to go out and fight if you want to win. If you see here, your turrets will be on each corner. So these will be your resting spots for each corner as well. And we'll have each turrets. Heal packs are also scattered around the map, so you can get those when you're in a pinch. So as you can see in this clip here, you'll be fighting over this small objective here on 2-on-2.
¿Y nosotros dos?
Okay, see here. Okay, now here's a special look at the AMP device. The device is called Resonance Amplification Turbine, but we'll call them AMP device for short. There are 3 total on the map, the third one being locked off in the middle for... Oh, it's Rat. It's actually Rat. That's brilliant. We'll call it Rat. Okay, so there's going to be 3 rats on the map. If you see here, 1 rat here, 1 rat here, and 1 in the middle. So yeah, you'll basically have to rat jam to get these objectives and win. Okay. Now we move on to phase 2. Now that the wall in the middle has been lifted, you'll now be able to meet your other teammates. This will make the 2-on-2 mode into a 4-on-4 mode, and you'll also be contesting the third rat as well in the middle. So in phase 2, you'll be contesting all of these 3 objectives with your team 4-on-4, and you can either do this or try and go farm other objectives, bigger objectives like androids, which will be boss androids, which will give you much more other points than just taking care of the rats. Also, as we reach phase 3 and 4, when phase 2 ends, a powerful android called Gamma takes the stage. Just by looking at it, you can feel its sheer power. With the start of phase 3, you will no longer gain points, and your current points will become your team's HP. So basically, all of your points that you have gathered throughout phase 1 and phase 2 will be your final team's HP. So from now on, your goal now is to deplete your enemy of points. This can be done by taking objectives, killing your opponents, or taking Gamma. Gamma will actually give a pretty significant point reduction, so it's definitely the objective to look out for. And whichever team reaches 0 loses. It's pretty simple enough. So you take control of rats, you go after objectives, you kill opponents, one team reaches 0, you win. This can be, yeah. If no other team reaches 0 before phase 3 ends, the game will enter a sudden death mode called phase 4, and whichever team gets the golden kill, the first kill during phase 4, will automatically win the game. It's kind of a overtime mechanic. Okay, and here is our briefing room. Our briefing room is basically your headquarters for your team. When you die, you'll be returned here. You'll be granted the option to gain a small shield boost on your next combat. Will also be able to gain infusions while you're dead. Here's a more detailed look of the briefing room. And okay. And here's a quick picture of the Hyperloop system. When you're inside the briefing room, you'll be able to deploy
Mi problema no es con el modo del juego, de verdad, se los juro. Mi problema no es con el modo del juego. Mi preocupación principal es lo que dije desde el principio. Estás dividiendo la queue más. Y si en Europa, si en SA me está diciendo, o sea, está diciendo Chizu que tarda 20 minutos en encontrar una partida de solos. Imagínate los güeyes que quieran jugar Cobalto.
Loops into basically one of your turrets, one of your ally turrets. So as you can see here, there's this blue circle here. You'll be
A mí
able
no me
to
llama la
hyperloop
atención el
here
gameplay,
upon
pero
dying
no es el,
and
problema, no
returning
es,
to
no es
the
el
breeding
problema que
zone.
tengo.
This one is a special look at our infusion shop.
Y no creo que esto
It's actually
vaya a
not a shop,
regresarle
we
la vida
call
al
it
juego.
shop. It's more of a high-tech thingamajig, but yeah, we'll call it infusion shop for now. This can be used to...
Vamos a suponer que necesitas 18 personas para un normal, ¿no? Ok. O sea, hablando de que tienes una pool de 100 personas, vamos a suponer. Una pool de 100 personas. Y de esa pool de 100 personas vas a jalarle, vas a quitarle de esa pool de 100, vas a jalar, no sé, 20. Entonces ya nada más te quedas con una pool de 80. Ese es el problema. O sea, estás dividiendo más las queues.
purchase infusions and also item upgrades like force core upgrades to greatly improve your combat in the later stages of the game. Vending machine, yes. 3D printer, yes.
Dale, Gafarion, muchísimas
There's
gracias por
some
venir.
other small
Muchísimas gracias por
features
venir el día de hoy. Me dio mucho gusto leerte. Y de verdad, muchísimas gracias por el apoyo. Gracias a personas como tú. De verdad es que puedo continuar. Puedo continuar en esto de convertirme en un streamer serio. De verdad, muchísimas gracias. Aprecio un montón el apoyo, como no tienes una idea. Que tengas un excelente día y de verdad, te lo repito, muchísimas gracias por el apoyo. Sigue faltando uno, sí. De verdad, muchísimas gracias. No, es que mi novia ya estaba suscrita. O sea, simplemente renovó la suscripción. Cuando se acabó, se renovó en automático. Pero de verdad, muchísimas gracias por el apoyo, De verdad, muchísimas gracias. Lo aprecio un montón.
Cobalt protocol, we got small drones, which gives you credits, and also, along with credits, all of the animals on Cobalt protocol will be mutants, so they will also be giving you XP and heal packs too. We also got futuristic holograms instead of bushes because it's kind of weird to have bushes in laboratories. So yeah, we'll be having these vision blocking holographic holograms instead. And this one's pretty fun. This one are jump pads, and you'll be able to use this to be launched onto other locations of the map. It works mostly like pork chop, but there's a catch to this jump pad too. When you ride this jump pad, it means that all of the other test subjects or stuff on the jump pad can be moved too. So if you're on the jump pad with another enemy, the jump pad will launch both you and your enemy to the other location. So it can kind of create some awkward spots when you're launched together.
Okay.
It's a blast cone. Yes, I guess you can say that, but this one's always going to be there. So it's like a semi-blast cone. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we also have 2 exclusive Cobalt active item effects. The one in the clip will be showing you one. This will provide a small movement speed boost and will deal damage to the first enemy hit.
No manches, muchísimas gracias,
And I think
Gafarion.
that's it with Cobalt Protocol.
Gracias
I hope
por
you guys all
ayudarme a llegar a
enjoyed
30
Cobalt Protocol
suscriptores
because like, this
mensuales.
one took a lot of work.
Muchísimas gracias, de verdad, lo agradezco un montón.
Was really one that a lot
Agradezco
of
un
people
montón,
wanted, so we hope
el
that
apoyo, de
you'll be
verdad. De verdad, muchísimas gracias. No tengo otra... Me da mucha vergüenza, la verdad, pero de verdad, muchísimas gracias. Gracias por el apoyo. De verdad.
to make up to your expectations for this mode. The delay was also to like try to give you guys the best product possible.
De verdad, muchísimas
and we're trying
gracias.
to try and do that with this too.
Sí.
I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. My voice is
Hoy me toca
dying.
cenar.
Okay,
Gracias,
now this will
Gafarion.
be
Que
our
tengas bonito día,
final
bonita
maybe
noche.
topic of our dev stream. It's going to be our features for season 7 and after. We got the escape mechanic. So one of our biggest systems in season 7 that we're hoping to aiming for is the escape mechanic. This is kind of different from the hacking mechanic that everyone wants to see. Eternal Return is a battle royale. So basically one player wins the whole game. And even though we
we add other features, this is not going to change in a battle royale. So there's situations where you're too far behind and you think that you can't win. So basically, your only option is to third party or rat. To alleviate this, we're gonna be trying to add the escape option. So basically, players will be able to craft a specific item and use it to escape Lumia Island. And with the escape Lumia Island, they will end the game on an escape, and they will not gain any points from the game.
Se los certifico desde ahorita. Esto es un certificado nimble moron shit. Esto es la idea más estúpida que he escuchado en un juego competitivo que tiene rank desde que quisieron quitar el reload. Esto es la imbecilidad más grande que he leído para un juego como Eternal.
However, they will also they will gain points, but they will gain less points than they have gained when they won. But since there will be no minus points when you were supposed to lose points, it could be a saving grace mechanic rather than a point gaining mechanic. No, it's the rage quit mechanic.
Lo que van a implementar para Season 7, o están imaginándose para Season 7, es que imagínate que te vaya mal en el loot, ¿no? Y que nomás quieres hacer third party porque te fue mal en el loot y estás behind. Va a haber una mecánica en la que vas a poder craftear un ítem y ese ítem te va a dejar escapar de Lumia Island y eso va a hacer que te den poquitos puntos pero que no te quiten. O sea, va a ser como una manera de hacer Alt F4 pero no perder puntos. ¿Qué chingados se les ocurre que eso es una buena idea en un juego que te premia? O sea, uno de los principales problemas que tiene Eternal en solos es que la gente no quiere pelear, porque no quiere perder el MMR. Y el tiempo tarda en entrar a un nuevo queue. Si le das la opción a una persona de no perder corriendo, ¿qué te hace pensar que el 80% de la gente no va a tomar esa mecánica?
We'll see how it turns out. It's still in early development, so we'll see how it works out. We'll try and see how it goes, and yeah.
Les certifico que eso va a ser un nimble moron moment.
In this part is still really under development, so we're trying to plan it out. Okay. We hope that this, so the main reason for this one is we want to try and reduce third partying, so we'll see how it goes.